Here's what I thought of. Go Atlanta Braves.
Yo, you can't get us flagged in the first 10 seconds, bro.
Right.
Trying to get us demonetized.
Let me get it.
Just really hate the Mets. Really hate the Mets. They were talking about Juan Soto and how well he was playing and stuff today, on SportsCenter. I'm like, we just got done whooping their ass 7 out of 8 games. So what?
Man, the bats are cold. The bats are cold in New York. Even the Yankees, the bats are cold right now.
It's not the only team I hate more than the Mets. Maybe the Dodgers. How's your week been, fellas? What's been going on?
Heat wave. Heat wave. Heat wave.
College enrollments, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? For the oldest child. Getting that taken care of and a lot of grinding.
Indeed.
Good. Same thing over here. Mine has already started school, so I'm like, now I'm like, oh no, you got to drive in Atlanta traffic. It's like, how's that gonna go?
Rough.
Yeah. Saying what up to the chat? What up to the chat? Appreciate y'all popping up. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, it's been hot down here too. It actually rained today, but other than that, it was 95 degrees yesterday. So
it's been a crazy heat wave.
98 in West Virginia yesterday. It was wild.
It was I was in Houston this week. It was 89, but it was muggy. It's crazy muggy down there.
They got different kind of bugs in Houston, man.
They do, man.
It's kind of crazy.
Crazy,
yeah,
man.
Spanish and everything. They talk to you before they bite you. It's crazy.
It's crazy. People walking down the street butt naked downtown. Like, yo, this is wild.
They don't really have a choice. The humidity is ungodly.
It's crazy. Crazy.
So, fellas, let's go ahead and kick it off with our bar seminars for the week. AG, what you got for your bar seminar this week?
Oh, dope. I'm up first. I chose Second Childhood off of the Stillmatic album, Classic Cut off of Stillmatic. And I felt like it was appropriate, for some things that we want to talk about later. Because Mr. Jim Jomo Jones never grew up, evidently. And I feel like, that verse might have been a little bit foreshadowing talking about him. And what's funny is, y'all remember back in 05, 06 when Jim was going at both Jay-Z and Nas, and when Nas and Jay linked up and he was calling them the Golden Girls? You remember that? Yeah. If memory serves, Nas was in his early 30s then, and Jay was in his mid 30s, and he was calling them the Golden Girls. Now here he is, 48. You know what I'm saying? Acting all giddy because the YNs, know who he is. So I just feel like he's in his second childhood. You feel me? I mean, he literally got offended on Shannon Sharp's Nightcap podcast when Shannon said he was 50. He was like, "No, I'm not, Shannon. I'm 48. I'm 48." He was a little offended when he got called 50, but 50's right around the corner, Jomo. I'm just letting you know it's okay. Come on home. It's all right to be an OG. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to look to the YNs for validation if that's what you want to do.
You need it.
You should be saluting your OGs instead of looking to the YNs, but I digress. That's why I picked Second Childhood.
That's a good one.
Sean, what you got?
So I was going to go with Bun B in that Primo joint, to represent Houston. Went to Trill Burger this week, had a good Trill Burger, wanted to represent Bun B. But then I started seeing all of the noise around Jim and Nas. And I was inspired to go back and listen to Hip Hop Is Dead. And I wanted to go with Money Over Bullshit. Actually the whole song, but more so the second verse when he was saying, you got to reach top 5, you know what I mean, but even have this conversation with him.
Right.
And I think, we're going to talk about it later on, but I think that's something that is missing, because there should be a certain pedigree where you can talk like this to anybody. And Money Over Bullshit now is a foreshadowing everything that we're seeing right now today. And even also back then, because to your point, AG, back then he was talking crazy. A lot of people were talking crazy. And if you're not in that weight class, you shouldn't be punching at anybody if you're not in that weight class. You know what I'm saying? You can't be Hector Camacho and you trying to fight someone like Evander Holyfield in his prime. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. And
he should have listened to Rule 1 in that verse.
Rule 1.
Keep my name out your tongue. Rule 2. Thought you knew. Don't fuck with God's son. Rule 3. See? Matter of fact.
If you reach top 5, I'm going to eat y'all alive.
Eat y'all alive.
So we're going to talk. I don't want to give it away, but we'll talk about that in a second. But money or bullshit is mine.
Let's get to some of these super chats right quick because we already got a few up on the board. Let's put some numbers on the board.
Yes, sir.
Let's put numbers on the board. Boom, boom, boom. 007. What up, 007? I will be seeing you soon, brother. Queens get the money. Jim Jones has officially gotten disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about it. But yeah. I mean, good.
Yeah.
Ill Magic. I saw a Facebook post from someone saying that they thought that Hit Boy brought life back to Nas's career. Do you guys agree?
What do you think, Coop? You was entangled in that really heavy. What do you think?
I don't like how that's framed. I think that's framed the wrong way. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. To see that, okay, so this has always been my media thing with Nas. Is like with him, the words get kind of framed differently where it sounds kind of funny when it comes out. It's like, well, when it's somebody like Jay working with a Kanye, it's, well, Kanye's keeping Jay up to date and keeping Jay current and updating his formula. When it's Nas is breathing life back into his career, it's like, well, his career's never been dead.
Right. He wasn't on life support.
Yeah, his career's never been on life support. I mean, to be honest with you, his second stretch run is almost as good as his first stretch run. And I mean, if you really look at Life is Good, you know, his like, that's not like a fall off piece. That's a nice little like time capsule piece. So it's like there hasn't really been an actual fall off. I think there's been kind of like a bookend. I feel like Life is Good is the bookend for the first couple of stages of his career. It's like if this play has 3 acts, I feel like that's the end of Act 2. And so to say that it breathed life back into it, it's like, why isn't it just framed as like a new act?
Right.
Right. So it's like that's that media thing about how stuff gets framed and even how people are conditioned to talk about Nas because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a bad habit.
Bad habit. You know what I mean? It's indoctrinated. It's like, oh, how does somebody become a racist? It's like, well, you know, you teach them how.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I think it did add another layer to Nas's career where I don't think he's let anybody else produce him with the liberties that Hit Boy had, if that makes sense. I do think that that's what it brought to his career, a whole new layer.
That's fair.
Yeah. Oh, Mad Max is here. I guess we'll have to.
Mad Max. Yo, Mad Max on one.
Yeah. Mad Max, we know the bars. Put a bear in the cap of a scalpel mouth.
Shout out to Mad Max.
Rap about. Yeah, we know the bars.
That's one of the hardest intros ever, man.
It is.
Mad Max again. Tell that SpongeBob SquarePants goofy goober rap having Jomo he got a DP coming and wash your face. You looking like you just woke up.
Mad Max was wild.
He's already
instead of Goonies, it should be shouting out Goofy.
Mad Max terrorist. Like Mad Max is a terrorist. Mad Max is the man that all rappers should really be afraid of.
Yeah.
Because if you don't dap Mad Max up, like if Mad Max see you, you don't dap him up. Yeah, I seen this old sickle cell. You get to talking like Tupac on hit him up like out the middle of nowhere, like every time.
Yo.
All right.
Got another one.
Yeah, one more super chat. Busy B, appreciate the love. Y'all got to remember the podcast is produced by Rock Nation. Nas was bound to come up and not in a positive way. Yellow journalism, like Coop said. Yeah. All right. Coincidentally enough, for my bar seminar, I actually chose Jay-Z's Politics as Usual. It's funny. I've been kind of going down a Jay-Z rabbit hole lately. I went on one of my little Volume 1 tears where I've been listening to Volume 1 over and over and over again, and I just rave about the mic performance. And it made me start listening to Reasonable Doubt because I wanted to I just really wanted to hear, like, stylistically, how comparatively like Jay sounds on those two projects. And when I got the politics as usual, I remembered that's the verse that made me a fan of his. Where I'm like this guy kind of, I'm like, oh no, he rap a little different. Like he's pretty high level because I really wasn't too acquainted with him. It's like I had heard in my lifetime a few times. I really didn't love it. I still don't really love it. I never really paid it much mind. So I picked the third verse from Politics as usual because it's like for me that's the verse that kind of embodies what made him a star early on. And so that was my choice. But it started with a volume one dive. And I do think he's a better MC on volume one. Like the way he's rapping on the streets is watching. He's not really rapping like that at all on Reasonable Doubt. Like he's just not.
It's a little more polished.
Yeah, it is.
But
But
the songs aren't better, but it's a little bit more polished. I feel what you're saying.
he the way he's like hitting the microphone, it's like it's like when a boxer hits his prime, and it's like, oh no, them shots feel a little bit different. He know what he's doing now.
Yeah.
But that was my bar seminar. So the Rock Nation thing into the J, and that's what we got. On to a little sports news. The Oklahoma City Thunder bought home the first title to Oklahoma City, second overall title for the franchise because originally they were Supersonics. Thoughts on the finals, in particular the Game 7?
I don't think nobody care, man. It's not even real. It's not even trending. We don't know what's going on. No one is talking about it. I don't think anyone cares. And I'm glad to see a little bit of parity in the NBA. But no one cares. My Wizards were like, yo, the NBA Finals played yet? Like, yo, it was last week. What do you mean? What do you mean? Did it play yet? So no one knows, man. No one cares. The NBA has moved on just that quick. Already got the draft already in motion. No one cares, Coop, AG. I don't really care no more.
Listen, I don't think Fanatics care when they made those whack championship hats. You see those? Look like they pressed them up in the locker room during halftime.
No one cared. No one
But
cared.
I think the Halliburton injury was the bigger story than OKC actually winning the title. But prayers up for Halliburton. I hope he has a speedy recovery. The Achilles injuries are not easy to come back from. We know that, and I just hated to see it happen that way. In that Game 7 when you're leaving it all on the line, but he did know the risk when he went out there. But I think the bigger story is like how in the modern era all these players still getting these injuries that frequently. They're supposed to have the best trainers, they're bigger, stronger, faster, and all that. But not to go off on the sideboard, but medically this is what I do, and I think that these players like mess themselves up with the load management throughout the season, because if you're going at 70% throughout the season and then through a playoff run of a few months, you're going to push your body 110%. It's not made to try to do that. Your body's not made to try to flip a switch and go all out. You know what I mean? You got to train it to do so over a longer continuum. So I think that's why we're seeing more injuries. But at the end of the day, I was glad that OKC won, because to produce three modern era MVPs and not have a championship to show for it, it's about time.
So I had a few thoughts. So I do kind of agree with Sean that nobody cares. I can't even lie. It's funny, but it's also true. I don't think people really care. I want to get into why people don't care right quick, though. And I think you all would agree with this. There is nothing about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's game that's exciting.
No.
Now, he's as effective and efficient of a guard that I've seen at shooting the ball, particularly in the mid-range, short of John Stockton. He's not effective as John Stockton is at the three-point line, but as far as just like somebody getting to their little pocket in that little mid-range shot and hitting it like 50% of the time, and unlike John Stockton is the focal point of the team, so obviously not the assist man, but he's efficient the way Stockton was efficient. You know what I mean? And takes more shots. But also like John Stockton, it's not sexy or exciting at all. And so I think part of why this series wasn't exciting or sexy to people was because, well, the best player on the floor isn't sexy or exciting. and the second best player on the series was hurt and tore his Achilles in Game 7. And I think had the second best player in the series actually played the entirety of the Game 7, gentlemen, OKC wouldn't be holding this trophy no way because he was in the process of busting that ass. And like the pundits were saying on TV, oh no, his problem isn't how he finishes, it's how he starts. When he starts like that, they don't lose.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really feel like it got me down a deeper rabbit hole. And listen to what I'm about to say, then we can go to the next topic. I don't trust any of these champions since Kevin Durant tore his ACL with the Golden State Warriors. That was the last real championship team I saw. That Toronto championship doesn't mean anything to me because Clay and KD got hurt in that finals. If either one of them is there, I don't think, like, if it's just Steph and Clay, they beat Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like people are like KD got hurt. I'm like, damn, all that. It's like Steph and Clay would have beat Toronto. That ain't Cleveland with LeBron and Kyrie. Like, it's not that. Kawhi not that. He's dope, but he's not that.
He had a hell of a run, but they needed KD to make him work on the other end of the floor.
I mean, see, here's what I mean. In a 7-game series, when you got Steph and Clay, it's like, no, Steph is enough all-time. First of all, Clay gonna give you a game. That's what I'm saying. Clay gonna give you a game. They won 4-2. It's like, oh no, Clay good for another game. So you go into Game 7, and it's like, oh no, Game 7, give me Steph and Clay over Kawhi. That's what I'm saying. They had home court.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like when I look at all these champions, LeBron with the bubble team, it's like, I don't know. The Golden State team, it's like, oh, well, you beat a Celtics team that wasn't ready. Even this championship team, it's like, well, Denver's team was injured. Cleveland's team was injured. Milwaukee's team was injured. Boston's team was injured. You know what I'm saying? So many teams were just a fucking mess. It's like I haven't seen a real champion since that Golden State team. Yeah. Not a champion. Not where I'm like, oh no, that's those are the champs. Yeah. And like to be afraid when they walk into the building. Like, nah,
that's why it hasn't been any repeat champions since then.
Yeah, so none of these teams have been that. So I think it's like, you know, the NBA is in a transitional place where it's fair game, and Shea is just one of those people that got a ring in. I think this might be the generation where everybody gets a ring. It's like everybody might get a ring in, and if you're a legend and you're lucky, and we're about to get to this in a second, well, a little bit of pressure on KD, because if everybody kind of getting a ring in, well, in these years since you got your ACL tour, your two counterparts are two of the people that got their ring in. They done kind of stuck a ring at you know, not quite at the back end. It was in the middle a little bit because it was shorter time for them. But, you know, of the last 7 champions, Steph and LeBron are 2 of those 7 rings. And so Kevin Durant going to the team that finished second in the Western Conference. I don't know. This is as much pressure as he's been under, actually. Not since he went to Brooklyn, but since he went to Golden State.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got to deliver now.
I mean, for real, they got Kevin Durant for a spotty jump shooter and 3 magic beans.
Yeah.
Yeah, bag of chips.
Yeah, you got to deliver. You got
to. It's a family bag of chips. It's a family bag of chips, but it's still a bag of chips, nigga.
Yeah. And I still don't know if that makes them a clear-cut championship contender.
Here's what I think. I think sometimes people underestimate Kevin Durant's basketball IQ. Like, first of all, the Brooklyn move wasn't a bad move. Kyrie was going through a personal thing. James Harden got hurt. His foot was on the line. Like, it shouldn't even got to the point of his foot being on the line if those guys were healthy. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like he actually wins a championship that year. So the Brooklyn thing wasn't a bad decision. That's one of those things where you can't control what other people do. You can't control James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant found out the hard way. I do think the Phoenix move was a bad move because I didn't think him and Devin Booker were a championship combo.
No. And Beasley's not Beasley. He's no more. He's no more, unfortunately.
I think what really happened is we found out he was never really that.
Yeah, he was in Washington. You got no choice.
He's in Washington. Volume shooter. Yeah, Washington, volume shooter. If you really look at his numbers, he's not really that great of a 3-point shooter. He's really not that great of a 2-point shooter. Solid at the free throw line as a 2-guard should, but there's really nothing spectacular about him. How about this? Like, tell me what's the difference between Bradley Beal and Jim Jackson?
Yeah, I'll take Jimmy.
Right, I'll take Jim Jackson over Bradley.
Not to be confused with Jim Jones. Nobody taking Jim Jones for nothing. But moving.
Bradley Beal's made more All-Star teams. So I say this to say, KD really wanted to go to this team.
Yeah.
But here's the Oh, go ahead, Coop.
Yeah, just one thing, and go ahead and jump in. All the players that are still on this roster, which is literally the majority of this roster, except for 2 players, all of these players took major jumps last year and are still super young. He might trying to be put himself ahead of the curve. This could be the next team. Them along with the Spurs could be the next team to emerge because that Thompson kid already made all defense. Sengun in the playoffs was as good as the post anybody short of Jokic actually for the time that he played in the playoffs. If
Right.
they had Kevin Durant this past season, I don't know how far they go, but I think that they beat Golden State and Minnesota. I do. I don't know if they beat OKC this year, but I think they beat Golden State and Minnesota if he was there this year instead of Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I'm not mad at those takes. I'm at a different place with the trade, man. I'm just tired of we're in an era where we're seeing like all-time greats be journeymen. And I just hate that look, man. Like, to me, Kevin Durant in a Rockets jersey is kind of nasty. Like, you know what I'm saying? They was even talking about it one time on Melo's podcast. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, when I was in not OKC, but he was like, you know, playing for Portland and playing for Rockets. And that time, like, you got all-time great people that, like, played for 6 or so different franchises. KD is on his 5th. I think the first time I had ever seen that since I've been watching basketball as a little kid was probably Shaq. And it was nasty seeing Shaq in a Celtics jersey and in a Cavs jersey and all that stuff, man. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, man.
Can I share something with you, though, AG?
Yeah.
That's those guys being the capitalist thinkers that the people who own the teams are. They're moving more like the owners now. Like they're realizing these owners aren't loyal. Why should I be? So I get what you're saying. Like the era that we're built in is conditioned upon certain loyalty. Like this generation is a little bit more woke and a little bit more financially savvy. And they like, man, they think like the owner think, man, F your loyalty. Like you're not loyal to me. Think about this.
Fair.
Look, Shaq was the dominant force on the last 3-peat that we've had, guys. And about Kobe's potential, they were like, no, we'll get rid of him. Thanks for the 3 rings.
Yeah.
That's the Shaq.
Yeah.
That's the Shaq. So it's a dirty game. And so when I'm looking at these players jumping around and maximizing their dollars and making these owners do stuff and telling the owners, no, I'm not going to Minnesota, I'm going, no. There is a part of me that understands that because it's like, well, quite frankly, that's the employee learning from the employer and employing that strategy to their own benefit.
Right.
That's a fair point.
The hustle. But in Kevin Durant's case, for how talented and young this team is and for how he is still playing, and people need to forget he's missed almost 2 full seasons of basketball. So that whole 37-year-old thing, and more like 34, 35.
Based on mileage, yeah.
Based on mileage. So I figure he probably going to play like this for about another 2-3 years. With this type of team, I really do feel like they are a jump shooter / wing defender away from being a championship team. So he need to win a ring with this team. He do. Now, if he don't win a ring with this team that has all this young talent and these heaters, like if he can't lead this group of guys, like there's no Russell Westbrook wanting to shoot the ball too much. There's no James Harden wanting more money. And OKC not giving it to him. There's no Kyrie going assalamu alaikum salam all through the arena burning sage and incense. There's no James Harden hobbling around on his groin because he been down here in Magic City kicking it in the section next to me till 4 o'clock in the morning. There is no Devin Booker and Bradley Beal fake jump shooting ass. When I mean fake jump shooting ass, there's a difference between a real jump shooter and a fake jump shooter. There's none of that. So he's actually in the best situation that he's been in outside of Golden State, in my opinion. And that includes the OKC situation. So he needs to deal. He needs to deal. Like, I'm not going to take up for him or make any excuses. I expect this team to be in the Western Conference Finals and or the NBA Finals next year. If he plays the way that he played last year, and the other players on that team take literally one step, if 2 or 3 of those players take one step, this team should be in the conference finals or the NBA Finals at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
We're going to see.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum. Because I don't want to hear that. Dallas got Kyrie and Anthony Davis. That is street clothes squared. They're not going anywhere with those 2 guys. You can draft Cooper Flag.
I don't know.
You can draft Cooper Flag, Cooper Bag, Cooper Hag, go Duke Blue Devils, Houston in 5.
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. Got a long way to go to get there.
So we'll see.
All right. So fellas, what we got next? We got I know Coop, you didn't get a chance to give your take on the Slick Rick joint. So we'll give you the ISO on this one, bro. You take this one. We did ours last week, but on the visuals had already dropped. So now you got the visuals and the actual album together. What are Coop thoughts?
So it's hard for me to rate this album because I'm such a big fan of the artist. Anybody that's been following me in the pod space for the last 5 years knows that the first rap album that I ever heard from beginning to end was The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick. So his impact on my hip hop life is very, very heavy. If this is the last time we are going to hear him on wax, and it feels that way, I think this is a more befitting ending based on the visuals. Now that I've gotten the visuals accompanied with the music. And that's not to say that I did not enjoy the product before, because I did. Of course, I'm a big fan of Documents. I do really enjoy that record. Stress is probably my favorite record on the album, the lead off joint.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a part of me that it's like, well, he's all time great to me. He's MC Ricky D. Before Nas's string of storytelling runs, I'd considered him to be the greatest storyteller of all time. And so when you hold somebody in such high regard and such high light, when they don't give you necessarily highlight real stuff, there's a part of you where it does take like a little bit of the wind out of your sails. But this is an appropriate finish to an illustrious and impactful career. He might be the only rapper whose impact actually dwarfs his music catalog, guys, as far as rappers are concerned. Like his impact and his legacy on culture, like on our culture, is actually bigger than his music. Like the eye patch, the gold chains, like when the image of him, I think it's timeless, where there's the image of him just on that like that black screen with the light behind the black screen, and he's got all the chains on and he's just standing there. That felt like Jordan Game 6 in Utah to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, that's how I want to remember that guy. I want to remember that guy just like that. That's the guy. And like he's that dude still. This was a solid project. I did understand where he tried to get back to the British roots of things. It makes more sense when you see it visually. You definitely hear it production wise. As somebody that's traveled to Europe multiple times, it definitely does have more of a hip hop Euro vibe. It's probably playing better in the UK than it is here, to be honest with you guys, now that I'm thinking about it. But I think it's an appropriate ending to the project. I didn't see what you guys actually rated it. If I'm rating it objectively, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
That's what I rated it.
Yep, I respect that. Yeah, I think the visuals is a great company to it, to be honest. But again, Ricky is one of the legends, and I think that an album like this needed those visuals to go along with it. And I hate to even rate an album like that, to be quite
That's what
honest.
I mean. I feel bad rating this album. He's my guy.
Because I don't think this album deserves a rating. I think it deserves a tip of the hat.
Like, how about this? I don't know if I fall in love with hip hop if I don't hear that album, because you have to understand something. It's like, I wasn't a rap guy. Like, that's not your typical rap album from that time. I don't know if Straight Outta Compton or It Takes a Nation or those other albums would have got me on the hook. Like, I heard somebody who was creative, witty.
Right. Exactly.
Like he was a writer, he was a storyteller.
Right.
He was funny, he was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
He had swag. He talked about real issues, teenage love, Hey Young World. Like he showed me. He told me. I heard some shit I ain't never heard before. Indian Girl, Moment I Feared. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I don't know if I love hip hop the way that I do if he doesn't make that album.
Correct. He's earned all of that. He's solidified. This doesn't change anything for me. I enjoyed the album. I enjoyed the visuals, and I think that's where it should be. honestly, for me. So,
Yeah.
fellas,
Grand scheme of things, I think it's a good way to start off the Legend Has It campaign. I think it's a good kickoff.
yeah, agreed.
I would say this. How about this? Now that we are on this side of it, where would you put him in terms of storytellers? Because for I think the first 20 years of his career, he was probably considered to be the greatest storyteller of all time. Is he still our greatest storyteller?
I still put him in number one. I think Nas is more dense with his storytelling and more detailed, and but it's almost like storytelling is Rick's. I don't want to say his whole bag, but most of his bag is comprised of active storytelling versus Nas dabbles. I don't want to say dabbles, but you get what I'm saying. Rick, that's more of his makeup on a regular basis than it is Nas's, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
If I could retire, be honest with you, if I could retire someone like Rick and don't put him in a ranking, I would much rather do that. I would much rather say he's a celestial. He's over here now. So he's away from the pack at this point because he's one of the founding fathers. He's one of the forefathers of that style. So everything under him should be ranked based off of that, not for him to be in that ranking.
I get what you're saying. So I kind of look at his storytelling ability the way I look at Kareem Skyhook. It's like, well, no, Kareem did other things, and Kareem could hit other shots.
Right.
That was the shot that got most of the points. And Rick's
That's
storytelling bag is the shot that got most of the points. But much like Kareem, I think he's probably the third best storyteller of all time, the same way Kareem's the third best player of all time. Because I think that Nas and Scarface, story-wise, offer more diversity in verses rooted in reality.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But his storytelling bag is like Kareem Skyhook, which means it's like, oh no, you can't stop that. That's the best shot ever. As in like in terms of bags, his storytelling bag is more special than anybody else's specialty. Like his special move is the most special move. Like his storytelling bag is more supreme when he's in his bag. Because here's the thing, and this is what I mean. He has the best specialty bag. Oh, the Nas and the Scarface thing is about tenure and diversity. Them niggas can't make Mona Lisa if they tried.
Right.
You feel me? And when that's what I'm saying. Oh, when Rick in that bag, it's like, oh well, ain't nobody messing with him. He just wasn't in that bag long enough. Yeah, just wasn't in the bag long enough. Yeah,
it's different. Yeah.
They ain't making. They can't make. I don't think he's the only rapper I know that can make Mona Lisa, because it's like when you listen to that song, there's nothing about that song, even in terms of how it's composed, like the actual musical composition of it. There's nothing about it that tells you that should be a hit.
Yeah, but for me, it's the quantity of it. I mean, quantity doesn't necessarily have to trump the quality, but Rick will make a whole storytelling album, and Nas, you'll say, okay, that's the storytelling joint for the Nas album.
Correct.
For me, that's the separator.
Correct. And even in that song of storytelling, he'll veer off and then come back to the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like even Money Over Bullshit, he veered off and came back and tell the story.
And stories within the bars. Yeah.
Right, within the bars. Right. Yeah. So fellas, we got some super chats. Cool. Got a few more.
Oh, throw the money up on the table. I didn't see.
Yes, sir. Here we go. Where we at? Who did I miss? We got Busy B.
Where we at with it?
We got Amon.
Peace. Respectfully, Coop, I will have to disagree with you comparing Stankonia to Pet Sounds. I think the hip hop equivalent would be the Chronic. I respectfully would disagree with your take on that, because no, it's not that dope. Not that. Like the Chronic is in conversation for best rap album ever. I don't think Pet Sounds is in that conversation for its genre. Respectfully, you can try to put it there, but I don't think so.
Stankonia number 3 in y'all opinion for their albums? Is it number 2 or number 3?
3 for me. No, 4.
4.
It's number 4 for me. When I'm referencing Stankonia, I'm referencing the inventive and catchy nature of it, like Pet Sounds has. Like Pet Sounds.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Stankonia is catchy. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody dope as me. I'm
Yeah.
dressed so fresh. So I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, bombs over Baghdad. Like, yeah, I'll call before I come. I won't just, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
really want to know about some gangster shit? Outcast, Goody Mob, and the Dungeon Click. It's very simple, stupid. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean the the simple, stupid, like, but catchy and inventive nature of it. I'm not
Okay.
talking about the actual sound,
Okay.
music. Yeah, I'm talking about the nature of the way the album is presented. The album is inventive and catchy. Pet Sounds is inventive and catchy.
Gotcha. All right.
007. Did y'all see Ebro's hot take on the Nas question? Yes, we did. Also, Jigga album is on the horizon, I feel. It'll do numbers with the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Hold tight, 007. We're gonna talk about all of that.
I don't
Hold
know
tight.
what the quality will be.
Hold tight. Hold tight.
I
We're
think
gonna
the
look at
only
that.
reason for album is the Super Bowl, but whatever.
Yeah, be a little loosey for the AG.
Hey yo,
What again, mother? I just wanted to say that. See what again, mother?
He's gonna
What's
be
going
AG.
on, fellas? Definitely my number one podcast for Hip Hop Convo. Quick question: what's the best posse rap song y'all opinion? Reservoir Dogs, Banned from TV, 24 Hours to Live, or Triumph? None of those.
Ooh,
None
try
of
it.
those.
Try
I
it.
don't. I wouldn't count. I don't count Triumph in
I don't either. Wu Tang Posse.
because they're already in the group.
Yeah,
Okay. Try it.
Triumph is my
Wu-Tang.
favorite hip hop song of all time, but I don't count that in those group. Out of that list, outside of Triumph, I would probably go Banned from TV.
Yeah. Never TV is crazy.
Of those,
Yeah.
I'm picking 24 Hours to Live.
I think Banned from TV and 24 Hours to Live probably go neck and neck.
I prefer 24 Hours to Live, but I would tell you that like none of those are
No,
even.
no, I'm changing. I'm changing the Reservoir Dogs. They got my favorite hip hop quote on there. Styles P. I don't give a F who you are, so F who you are. That's my favorite hip hop quote ever. I love that quote. I try to live by that in everyday life.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah.
Give me the symphony still, I guess.
That wasn't a choice, Coop. My man gave you choices. Like,
I don't know. Nobody asked
Coop the type of nigga show up to the restaurant, order something that's not on the menu. Like, we trying to get the secret menu item.
Actually, I went to an Italian restaurant and I was like, hey, there's no chicken piccata on the menu. Can you make me a chicken piccata? They were like, we can. I was like, well, since you can do that, do you have veal? And they were like, we do. I was like, it's great. Ask, and ye shall receive. Amen. Amen.
Asking Little Caesars to make chicken piccata is crazy.
Okay, first of all, it's privately owned Italian restaurant. We don't have Little Caesars in East Cobb, unfortunately.
That is wild.
What's wild is that Little Caesars still exists.
Actually, don't sleep on Little Caesars, man.
Yo, they got that Fantastic Four collab now, boy. Don't sleep.
Dude.
I have no idea what you all are talking about, and it makes me proud that I have no
idea. We know, Coop.
Yeah. Coop still go to the Waffle House. Don't act like that, Coop.
First of all, there's nothing wrong with chicken and eggs with grits.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Yeah.
Especially on the late night.
They still got a Hunt House in West Virginia, don't they?
2 miles from the house.
Comment.
First of all, there's one Waffle House in West Virginia. It's the
don't do that Huddle House slap, bro.
Actual Huddle House.
Hold on. There's a Huddle House in West Cobb. I used to eat at the Huddle House.
Huddle House slap.
Yeah, no, it don't.
Little hash,
yeah, it do.
Little hash brown.
It depends on the situation. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It depends on the desperation, not the situation.
There you go. There you go.
They got no teeth in their mouth. Like, yo.
Okay, Mad Max. Stephen Clay was there begging to come back because Clay was smoking them in a pack. Stop rewriting history, Coop. And Hall hit 3 shots, gassing and overhyping. You know what? Mad Max, you're banned from TV. Banned from TV.
Banned from TV.
You're banned from TV.
Oh, Mad Max is wild, man.
Do say with the super chat, people keep bringing up Jay-Z. I don't want to hear spoken word Hove no more.
Yo, listen, people try to erase that from history like it didn't happen, yo. Nobody on the pods talk about that verse. They act like it didn't happen.
Happen, huh?
Duce said all that, but then he posted this. No Waffle House or Huddle House slander. See, now we got to go backwards now. Now you're going backwards.
First of all, no Waffle House slander. Huddle House, Denny's, fair game. That's fair game.
Yo, they be up in Denny's calling Coop a nigga and all that.
Right.
Yo, you don't be eating a Denny's, Coop. Don't do that.
Nah.
Denny's was the Cali shit. There's no Waffle House in Cali.
I don't know, boy, but you know what I'm saying? They had them racist ties, man.
They had the Denny's right off there, but I couldn't help it. When I be getting off from work, the Denny's was right off
there. Man, saying you eat at Denny's a week after Juneteenth is nasty work.
Okay, first of all, this was 20 years ago.
Asking for the
20 years. It's 20 years ago in California. Like nigga, the only nigga that was woke then was Erykah Badu and a bunch of the fucking and a bunch of the fucking them hoteps that started all this bullshit that Kendrick's been on the last 10 years.
Oh man,
yo,
only woke niggas. The rest of us were eating that Denny still.
Yo, cool. We not getting that Denny sponsorship, bro. We not getting it.
We're not getting it. Good luck with that. Yo, fellas, we got one of our guys, man, up in the background. Y'all want to bring them up?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
They politic with us. Yo, Elp, for those who don't know, Elp is we call him Miguel Sanchez. Actually, he let Miguel Sanchez, the guy that Ghostface was talking about in that song. He actually drove Coop to his safety. MSG.
Miguel Sanchez.
Miguel Sanchez.
Colombians be on that bullshit. You know what's good, fellas?
What's good, bro?
Miguel Sanchez sounds like somebody who was pushing quarter keys from Miami to Cuba in 1985.
That's L.
Hey,
you know, drove to his safety, and he was in Madison Square Garden, man. The wolves was on his head. He got him in the back seat.
Shootouts at the Denny's. You know what I mean?
Shootouts at the
Denny's. That is crazy.
So shootout at the Denny's is real thing in Cali.
You know what I'm saying?
Cali shit.
IHOP to safety, you know?
Yo, we got another super chat. Cool. We got another one.
Our man, Rolling Stones ranked Pet Sounds #2 on their 500 greatest albums of all time list. Yeah, and don't nobody give a fuck what Rolling Stones think either.
Word.
Yo,
right.
Look,
our man, when you telling me that Rolling Stones put Pet Sounds at #2, you are making my point for me. You understand that, right? Because think about all the albums that they are skipping over. Right. To quote Ice Cube, you need to check yourself before you.
No, we appreciate you.
Sean appreciates you, our man.
Yo.
You were turning into the European version of Mad Max.
Yo. You've got another super chat, fellas.
Ill Magic. If we had won the chip, the celebration would have been a lot more bigger than OKC. People forget how much a basketball state Indiana is. No, it's not that we forget. It's that you haven't won anything in a long time. So,
yeah. You didn't forget you haven't won.
Yeah, you just haven't won.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Magic.
Anything. At all. Not since we've been alive.
No.
Alive?
No.
Yeah. When Indiana won the national championship, what was that, 86, 85? Isaiah Thomas was like, I don't know, we 81 niggas, so.
That was
Isaiah was drafted in like 81.
That's what I'm saying. Isaiah's the year before we born, or like a year or two before we born.
Yeah.
Indiana.
That was like 78, 79.
Yeah, we talking about Zeke. We going back to Zeke, nigga. Like, come on.
Right.
Come on, fam. Come on, Lil Magic.
Magic, respectfully speaking. I know he's getting money out of Indiana.
I'm saying it's very disrespectful, Lil Magic. Your team ain't won anything.
I know he's getting money out of Indiana. Shout out to Indiana.
Oh, keep that down.
Okay, so
Whoa.
Before Sean starts, reliving his past life.
Yeah, before Sean starts getting us indicted.
We get money up in Indiana. If we got another super chat, I think it's the Elp factor, man. They coming to see Elp, man.
They want again. Who is a better rapper in their prime, Mace or Jada? Jada. But Mace was a problem.
But thank you for your super chat, though.
Mace is a better song maker, not a better rapper. Better song.
No, he's not. I'm sorry, man. I guess maybe. I don't know. I doubt it.
Mace is a good songwriter, man.
What you got? What you got for Jada over Mace as a songwriter? I don't know about that.
That's a good question, actually.
How about this? Mace
Yeah.
wrote more on No Way Out. Wrote more on No Way Out than Jada did.
All right, let's
How much
not
did
get
Jada
Coop in
write
the
for
Jada
Kim?
bag. We'd have been down
What
this
Kim
road
songs did
before. Let's
Jada
stay
write?
focused.
But you want to
let's
keep
stay
the main
focused.
thing the main thing, AG. You don't want me getting on your man Jada.
Let's stay focused. F, you gotta tell them why they
Oh,
here.
Jada's gonna catch some wreck too. Not a lot, but you know.
Tell the people why you're here, LP.
Yo, man, listen. Hey, first off, appreciate to the chat, everybody. You know the deal. You know what's up. Major fan of you guys. You know, so pretty much the reason why I'm here and why the fellas are letting me on is because we really got to kill this Nas noise with Jim Jones. The shit's got to stop, dog. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there's people that have defended Nas, but like even the people that defended Nas, they're not talking about what's currently happening, right? So when you're listening to Shannon Sharp, where you're listening to all these cats that are defending him, they're just only talking about what he did in the past, right? So when Jim Jones talks about right now, they don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Either because they don't want to fucking like cause friction with Jim Jones because they might get jumped if he starts crying and shit. You know what I'm saying? And or because they really just don't know. You know, I don't think Fat Joe really knows what Nas been doing lately because he thinks he's doing something, right? I don't think Jada really even pays attention to everything like that. So, like, even a Shannon Sharp, you know, he's not a hip hop head, but he off the strength, you're not touching Nas, right? But then he starts talking about Nas being retired, right? Like Nas is retired, he's hung it up. He ain't hung shit up. He's making an album right now with DJ Premier. They literally marketed it. We could debate Mass Appeal's marketing, but it's out there. The news is out there. So,
Oh,
so first of all,
back up. You said we can debate Mass Appeal's marketing.
yeah, look, there's been a debate
That's
about the
a
quality.
whole Discord thing, Coop. You would
Right,
know
right,
if
right.
you would know
That's
if you was in the Discord, but
yeah,
let's keep it
yeah, yeah.
focused. Let's keep it
First of
focused.
That's a
all,
little.
I'm not in the Discord because I don't negotiate with terrorists, and it's bombs over Baghdad. And
Yeah, man. I just saying, man. They love you and hate you, bro. You know, you got the space in there.
might do a special guest appearance just because you said something this week.
Yeah. Go check
It's
it
not
out, man.
special though.
Nah,
Like,
nah.
it's just an appearance.
Yeah, you're just in there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get 16 bars and I gotta go.
it's like
16
Sean. He
bars,
goes to
nigga.
Denny's and somebody buys him some pancakes because he's a veteran or some shit. So maybe
I'm
somebody will
not
look
a
out for you. You know
guy.
what
I
I
like
mean?
my
Like,
eggs scrambled. First of all, I don't like pancakes like that. Like my eggs scrambled with cheese, nice little grilled chicken breast. All right.
Sean hits up every IHOP just looking for some free waffles. You know, it comes in all uniform. Like, hey, man, you know, what's up? I need
I
some
used to have the plug.
flapjacks.
I used to have the plug at the IHOP on South Cobb Drive.
This dude play too much, man. This all I did was bring him on, man.
Oh man, yo, going to IHOP in your uniform is crazy.
All dressed up. Shiny shoes and all. Them shoes been shining like a motherfucker, boy.
I've
You know?
actually been to IHOP in the
Report for pancake, sir.
He knows when it's endless shrimp. You know what I mean? Like, yo, what's up, man? You eating IHOP because of me?
Yo,
Yeah.
chill, man, chill. We can't
Yo, stay focused, Em. Stay
All right,
focused.
my bad. I'm just trying to get in the rhythm because we gonna cook, you know? So so dog, so right? So and what was I saying? So yeah, so what we want to do is we want to break down what Jim Jones been saying, but we want to counter it with straight facts. There's nobody, in my opinion, that I feel is as knowledgeable as you guys are and as we are about Nas's legacy, what he's done, and we're going to be completely objective. This isn't subjective. This isn't my opinion. This isn't, oh, Coop feels this way or Sean or AG. This is all fucking fact and only that. And that's what we're going to base it off of, right? So if I can kick it off then, um, we're going to dissect it in my mind, and then you guys jump in and do however you guys want to do it, right? But I'm going to start with, because I really want to focus on 2020 and present, because everybody seems to talk about Nas's legacy and they're not really talking about 2020, but we got to bring it back a little bit. And I think we're doing a little bit of fan service to some of us Nas heads that have always felt a way about certain things that's become the narrative that ain't true, right? So let's start with Jim Jones saying that Nas was always second to DMX and Jay-Z, right? He said that, right? He said Nas always came in second to them. All right, cool. There's a line that's a fucking lie where Jay-Z said that 4 albums in 10 years, I can divide, right? When he said that, he was going back to Illmatic in 94. I mean, no, I'm sorry. He was going back to Main Source Live at the Barbecue. So he's saying that 10-year average is from Main Source to 2001 Stillmatic, right? That era. He's saying that's 10 years. But then when he does his math, he starts at Reasonable Doubt. So you're saying that you're counting Nas's first appearance to his first rap, but you're counting yourself to your first album. When in reality, and mind y'all, I'm like cannabis. I got a whole book of rhymes in this motherfucker, so I'm gonna be going on my phone to pull the facts. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z's first appearance, and you can look this shit up, was HP Gets Busy in 1986. Literally, if you go on YouTube right now, you can look that up, and that was the first time that he was recorded, and then you can listen to it right now. But we won't even go with 1986. We'll just push that over to the side. He was Jazzy Jeff to Jazz O on Hawaii Sophie fame. He's coming down from the fucking parachute and shit like that. That's 1989, right? Like, yo, this is true story, right? We're not right. This is facts, right? Go right now. Go watch the video. He's coming down.
Hold on, LP. I hear what you're saying, but this isn't about Jay. This is about what Jim said about Nas. And so
he's working through it. But Jim did say that quote about Jay-Z and DMX.
Because I can hear where you're going. So let me share something with you before you go a little bit further. For me, at this stage in the game, because I've done enough studying of these guys because of being in this space, that it comes back to, well, who's the source? And so what I'm going to say to you is that, well, a lot of guys from New York, LP, because they're from New York and been involved in hip hop, talk like they're the source and they might not be ahead. When Jim Jones talk, I go listen to Cam talk. Cam is the head. Cam is the one that knows. And so when Jim is talking, I treat it like it's somebody that really doesn't know, like he says he knows. He's projecting it like he says he knows. But go listen to Cam and Mace talk, and then go listen to Jim talk. Just on some rap shit. Like, forget all the Harlem stuff. Forget the street shit. Go listen to them talk on some rap shit.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Cam and Mace run it down in real time. Because Cam and Mace was really there. And so, we all have to understand, a guy that's speaking that wasn't there.
Right. No, I feel you. And we're going to get to the Cam part because, trust me, this is all surgical. But in regards to the Jay-Z stuff, first off, what I'm referencing is literally Jay's lines about that he said that. He said he's comparing the 10, Smarten Up Nas, all that. I'm only bringing that back to say
it's rap, though. It's rap. It's hyperbole. I don't expect him. I expect him to make his point more than
yeah. So, Coop, you understand that it's hyperbole. The masses treat that as fact. They believe that. They think that that's a thing. So when Jim Jones is saying you've always been second to J and X, the problem is that people are like, yeah, that's true. Look how long it took for it was written to get its proper due, because the minute that he said, people were like, yeah, you know what? It wasn't really that good, right? So when I'm going back to where Jay-Z is talking about, again, his first actual song where he's on video is 1990 with the Originators. That's 1 year before Nas is on Live at the Barbecue. So now going back to the Jim Jones part, because it's not to knock Jay. I fucks with Jay. I'm clowning. I mean, come on, you got a fucking pineapple on a turntable. We got to joke on that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But now if you go, like, that's true, right? So if you go with, since they were both equally, that means that they were both on the song together. Was Nas behind Jay in 1991? No. Was he behind in 92? No. Was he behind in 93? No. 94? Absolutely not. 95? No. Keep in mind, Jay was rapping with the originators and doing his own thing during that time. 96, the first time that they both equally had albums out. It Was Written did 270 first week. Ready to Die did 43K first week. This is just a fact, right? So again, no. 97, The Firm, 147 first week, debuted at number 1, volume 1. Actually, 138 debuted at number 3 with Puff, much better. 98 is the first time that you could legitimately say that Hove was ahead of Nas because of volume 2, right?
Nas
Then you
was
get
shooting
to
a movie.
Feel me? But if you want to give it to Hove in 98, that's cool. You go to 99. This is the interesting thing about it. Nas dropped 2 albums in 99. The first one was I Am. First week sales was 470,000. His second week, Nostradamus, the second album did 232,000. Volume 3 did 462. That means that I Am sold more first week. And I'm using the numbers because these are the parameters that they use. We know that we don't care about that, but they do. So we're going to kill you with that because, again, when they defend Nas, it's only about how great he raps and everything else. And they try to dismiss and they can't defend the numbers because they don't think that they exist when they're there the whole time. The man did 470 off I Am. In 99, Nas was bigger, one would argue, than Nas. I mean, than Jay.
On a bootlegged album.
On a
I might add.
bootlegged album.
With you that if that album doesn't get bootlegged, it does more like 600 or 700.
Bam.
Or if it's a
Exactly.
double album, it probably goes plat the first week.
Easy, right? Because it counts as 2.
I feel like this: if the album doesn't get bootleg, it does 5 or 6 just as a single copy, which means it does go platinum as a double the first week.
Easily. Yo, fellas,
Right.
I don't want to get too far behind the super chats. We got 3 super chats real quick I want to get to.
Throw them up.
Can you
Hold
see
on
it?
one second. Hell no. Oh yeah, I can see it now. Mojo, Guardian, The Times, Uncut, Pitchfork, all got Pet Sounds on their top 10 album list. Wake up, Coop.
Yo, Armand is going back at Coop. It's personal. It's personal. And I'm okay with it.
No. First of all, man, just because our names are similar, don't mean that our takes are similar. Doesn't mean that on my level. That might be a top 10 album, but it's more like 9 or 10. If it's making the top 10, it's more like 9 or 10. It's not better than Purple Rain. It's not better than Thriller. It's not better than What's Going On. It's not better than Songs in the Key of Life. It's not better than Revolver. It's not better than Sgt. Pepper. It's not better than Rumors. It's not better than Blue. That's just off the top of my head. Like, I know that for a fact. Like, that's off the top of my head. It's not better than any of those albums. I can probably throw in Stevie's Intervisions on top of that. It's not better than Intervisions either. Shit, it might not be better than the White Album by the Beatles. What the fuck are we talking about, our man? Next, LP, back in. More super chats.
There's another one.
Our man wants smoke today. Our man, you want some smoke today? You're going to get some smoke today since you want
more.
Yo, shout out to Dub, man. He said LP is much watch TV. Let's go. Salute.
Double Barrel, you one of them terrorists in the Discord, ain't you?
Absolutely, he's one of them. Double Barrel's that guy.
Yep, got a fan base.
Anybody named
My peoples, man.
For this Double Barrel. Love Me No More and Bird Gang Money made me a fan of Capo. Oh, well, that's great. Good for you. Okay.
Yeah, man. You better than me. You know? So where were we? 99, right?
Yeah.
Now, 2000, if you want to give it to Jay, that's for Nas. You know, that oh my you see that? Come on, man. You know?
Please don't do that. Hold on. First of all, you want to talk about getting demonetized?
My bad.
I'm talking about getting demonetized. The channel might not even work next week.
You know what I'm saying?
Did that.
I kind of feel away because I got the island hat on to match the King's Disease shirt. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, if a harness like pull me up out of here, don't say
that. Look at his feet.
Please.
Yo, that's crazy.
Look, whatever money is left on the table after you've done that about 3 or 4 times, I'd like to take. So if you just please stop. I like this channel to be here tomorrow.
He knows he shot that footage.
There's no sound.
Well,
chill,
well,
man. I seen
well,
that shit
word
this
on the
morning. I
street,
couldn't believe they
word
had
on the
a
street, word
pineapple
on
on
the
the
street,
turntable.
word on the street is that he might be petty. So
He is petty. Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Sorry, Jay. Sorry, Hove. That's just my passion talking.
Yo, if you go in IHOP with the full uniform on and then decline the discount, then
Yeah,
you know something's up.
yeah.
report for pancakes, sir. No, my bad. Go ahead,
Yo.
man. Go ahead.
So all right, cool, man. Getting shit back in order, right? So this is 99. So now again, 2000, if you want to give it to Hove, that's cool. 2001, if you wanted to give it to Hove, that's cool, but we know what happened in 2001. Ether and Stillmatic. You might still give it to him anyway. 2002,
okay, so
Godson.
2001 might be Jay because Ether doesn't drop till December 4th.
Right. That's why.
Jay is winning 2001 all the way through the year until the end of the year.
Jay
Right.
got the MVP, Nas won the championship.
It's also
That's
one of
it.
those things. If you're winning on the cards, if you're winning on round 9, then round 10 you get knocked out. There's also an argument for that to be made too. Yeah, it looked good. You was dancing all over him. It looked like he was cooked, and then he got you out of there.
So
So
here's the thing about it. Okay, LP, because of the battle, I think people forget. Oh no, Jay was having one of the best years ever before that. That's what I mean. It is like, oh no, we can't discount one of the. Like, how about this? You can't take away the Warriors 73 wins. It's still the most wins anybody ever had in a season. As far as a regular
But
season.
it's with an asterisk, though. You got to seal the deal. You got to close it.
No. There is no asterisk. During the regular season, they went
Yeah.
79. Like that's a fact. There's no asterisk next to 73 and 9. It's still the most regular
On the
season NBA
numbers, but
wins
when you
ever.
talk about it, what's first thing that come up? But,
Yes,
it's a but.
yes. But the but is
It's
coming
asterisk.
with no. There is no actual asterisk though. That's what I'm saying is that no, it doesn't take them not winning the
Yeah.
championship.
He can have the regular season
Doesn't
award.
But that's what I'm saying. There's two separate awards though, and so there's not
Yeah.
an asterisk. There's a regular season, and Jay won that regular season as well as anybody won a regular season. That's the part that's missed about 2001. No, he's rocking in 88 and 2001.
yeah,
That's
I
why
look.
everybody like people forget this. Nas is still a respected MC when this is going on. People were talking like he didn't have a shot because of how Jay was performing. People were talking like Nas didn't have a shot. No, that's 73 and 9. So it's like, did he win the championship? No, but he went 73 and 9 that year. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I could give Hove 2001,
That's what
especially
makes
because
Nas's victory. How about this? Nas's victory is so sweet because Jay just got done going 73 and 9.
and he had Michael Jackson on the stage. He definitely buried
That's part
Prodigy
of the
and love
73 and 9.
him.
That's what I
Right.
mean.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but it is interesting that of all the MCs at that time that could actually do that to Hove, it was Nas, right? And
He's
then
the
if you want to
guy.
go beyond the years 2002, 2003, I think at that point Nas had a different arc in regards to what he was trying to do with his career, based off hip hop is dead and Untitled. Jay-Z was doing Budweiser commercials. Beyonce, I think it was two split paths at that point. Where Nas is trying to be more artistic and Hove is going for that. So anytime after that, if you want to give it to Hove, cool. Then let's get back to the DMX talk of it, right? Because who was bigger than DMX in 98 and 99? Nobody, right? So saying that Nas was coming behind pause uh uh X in 98, 99, 2000 is not a knock on him because nobody was touching X in 99, including 98 and 99, including Jay. Actually, I don't have the numbers for It's Dark and Hell is Hot, and but because it doesn't matter, because we just know he destroyed 98. That's not even a question, right? But even in 99, right, when he dropped and then there was X, he did 698 first week, right? 698,000. That's the same month that Jay dropped. So don't tell me that there's an argument for anybody being bigger than DMX in 98, 99. Now, Sean brought up the 2000, one could argue that you could possibly give it to M. I think Chronic was super big during that time. And then you brought up Ja Rule, but even Rule
Nelly.
336 did like 276 first week, Nelly. So there's that argument there. But and I love X. He's in my personal top 10. Past 2001, there was a sharp decline in DMX's artistic music. The messaging was gone. He was going through a lot of personal things and all that type of shit. So the peak that DMX's peak was what it was. There was nobody that was touching X, period. So that's not even like a knock on anybody because who was, right? So
Can I pause you 1 second? Just because we missed one thing back in '96. So we're talking about domination of Jay-Z, domination of DMX, who are both New York artists that both went #1 on Billboard, right? But nobody talks about, the pundits don't bring this up. Nas is the first Black New York hip hop artist solo to go #1 on Billboard, and that was with It Was Written. As far as New York rap artists to go #1 on Billboard before that, you had Vanilla Ice, who's from New York, who is white. We didn't count him. You had the Beastie Boys as a group who went #1. We're not counting them. We're talking about their group. We're talking about solo artists, Black artists from New York. It Was Written was the first Black New York solo album to go #1 on Billboard. So whether you put in like X, Jay-Z, Ja Rule, a lot of people that you just named from New York, 50 Cent, that went #1 on Billboard, one guy was the first. That's Nas. Nobody talks about that.
Okay,
that's crazy. And then, sorry, Coop, I would ask AG, what Black, musician had gone #1, period, in any genre from New York or otherwise outside of like Michael Jackson or something like that? Had Marvin Gaye ever gone #1? Stevie Wonder went #1 on Billboard? Because back then the music is timeless, but it didn't reflect in the charts.
Well, I was just strictly putting it to New York hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Mike's from Indiana, but yeah, Nas was the first from NY. So but people don't talk about that.
Michael he is from Indiana. I was thinking about yeah.
AG, that's a very astute point because, I think, okay, so here's some of the thing that happens with the discourse when you have to have a Nas conversation that I've learned. So most of the people need to understand this. Most of the artists that he actually came into the game with are literally gone.
Yeah. And Biggie wasn't the first to do it. Conventional wisdom would probably tell you Biggie was the first, but Biggie was not the first to go #1 on Billboard with an album.
I think to say he's more of a legacy artist than people really realize. And I say that because his legacy actually happened when hip hop made its big transition. And he was part of the kickoff to the transition. Like he's part of it's an art form and craft that we love into a money marketing making machine thing for people. Like, okay, how about this? DMX's career is more comparable to Rakim's career than Nas is because it's like really more like a 5 or 6, 7 year run where it's like, oh no, you got Guy for that time, but outside of that, and so Nas's circumstances are a little bit different in terms of what he had to navigate through because like his main counterparts literally got murdered while the game was changing. Right. And so his arc and the way people view him is so dispersed. Like if you go ask a KRS-One or a Scarface or one of those older guys that are actually older than Nas about Nas, they like, oh my God. You go ask somebody from our era about Nas, it's like, oh my God, even if they're a J guy or an X guy or whoever, or a Pac guy. And then there's that transition where the money became the thing. And he didn't become the guy because it wasn't about rap anymore. But listen to what I'm telling you. Part of why I'm not paying this shit no mind. Notice now that he got more money than all these niggas. Now they want to talk about music. Notice ain't no more money conversations. Now we want to have music conversations and all these other conversations. It's like, oh, I thought it was, first of all, I thought it was the nigga wasn't getting money like y'all was, you know what I'm saying? So
they can't compare in either arena.
I can see now where they're switching the narrative because like here's the thing about it. Now his net worth it's registered as such that it's like, oh, well, these niggas that was talking this money shit, and you got to be real quiet because his money has exceeded theirs
Yeah.
by leaps and bounds to the point that they better shut up and forever stay quiet because he got the type of money that can make them be quiet. Like you get to a point where you got certain type of money where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go buy whatever it is that they got so I can control them.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a lot of goalpost movement. It goes from money to rapping to influence.
Right. That's what I'm saying. When did we get to talking
right.
about? When did we get to talking about Nas and Jim Jones when it comes to like hits and music? It's like people aren't seeing where it's like, oh no, hold on, I thought y'all was out here getting the money and he wasn't the guy getting the money. Now he got the money and y'all don't want to have a money conversation. Let's have a money conversation.
Right. See,
Coop, that's the thing with Jay, right? The thing with Jay was the money conversation. Let's have the money conversation with Nas now.
So Coop, exactly. See, and this is why we're breaking it down the way that we're breaking it down, because we're covering all of that shit so that there's no conversation, there is no debate. But we're going to entertain it because everybody else whose platform he gets on, they don't know, right? Or they don't know, or they're too scared to speak on. DJ
What you say
there.
they don't know or they don't show, right?
Right. So that's just one part of it, was just the X and J thing, right? Where one could whoever you were a fan of is whatever. So objectively, based off of the numbers, Nas is right there. If not, he was number one during an extended period of time where they're saying that wasn't the case. Now because I really want to get to the present when it comes to the numbers about the relevancy and everything else that we're discussing, right? I broke it down because AG, you wanted to give Jim Jones the benefit of the doubt and kind of go with some of his earlier albums in comparison to Nas, right? Again,
let's frame that a little differently. I didn't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was just trying to give the nigga a chance.
Right. Let's be fair to Jim Jones. His first album, On My Way to Church in 2004, did 44K. Street Disciple, same year, 232K first week. 2006, Hustlers POME. That is the album that every Jim Jones fan says is his best shit. Ballin' is on it, all of that. He does 106. Hip hop is dead. Remember, he's not going for radio hits. He's on a whole different trajectory as far as the messaging of his music. 355,000 first week. Okay, he's already doing more than Jim Jones' whole career in one album, right? 2019, El Capo, 21,000. Lost Tapes 2, right? Which is a throwaway for the most part. 23,000 first week. So El Capo, one of his biggest albums, is still not touching Nas's throwaway album. Then I went back to Nasir because he did Wasted Talent. There's no data on that. Do they say how they say like everything stays on the internet? Apparently not Jim Jones album sales, right? Nasir did 70. Didn't register.
This is what I'm saying.
Nasir did 77,000 first week.
But this is the thing, though. It's like that's okay. So that's the part of it that I struggle with. It's like, okay, so has this stuff going viral? Yeah, it has, but I don't like the source. I don't think the source deserves the amount of attention that it's getting.
But nobody's giving them the proper pushback. That's why, you know what I'm saying, LP's on here to break it down for them.
No. Because I get that. But like, so somebody I learned from about 15 years ago told me, like, people do a good job of firing themselves without you doing anything at all sometimes. Like when I'm watching his interviews and stuff, I'm like, oh no, like let him go ahead and talk himself out of like all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's that part of it too, where sometimes a wise man told me don't argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who's.
Well, it's like they say.
Forget that we ignorant tonight. Go ahead, LP.
Right.
We ignorant tonight.
You give somebody enough rope to either save themselves or hang themselves, and
right.
Jones is doing his best Jay-Z Hawaii Soul fame rendition.
Nah, okay? with the rope, we yanking Jim up out of here. Like, yeah, right. So that's what we doing with the rope right now.
Keep going, in the grand scheme of things, I completely agree with you. But when the narrative is continue to live on, and then he's going on quote unquote legitimate platform, still being able to get away with this, somebody got to start breaking this shit down with actual data.
I would push back again and tell you how legitimate are those platforms.
I feel you. But to the amount of views and who pays attention to them and who reviews them and who reacts to them and everything else, it's a platform that people pay attention to. And I do want to get to a bigger point about Jim Jones's approach to this and how he thinks that this is a positive approach, right? So anyway, I'm gonna clear up the numbers thing because we're gonna kill all that shit, right? So again, now that was 2018. Now we're in the 2020s. Now we're in the past 5 years. We're in the KD run, the run that people do not want to acknowledge or think that Nas was doing his thing during this whole fucking run, right? In 2022, he does Lobby Boys, right? That shit does 11,000. KD3 does 29,000 first week. Okay, so his album already that people don't act like it exists is already doing better than Jim Jones and Mano's album. 2022.
Not to mention, KD3 is number 10 on Billboard.
Right. This is in 22 because he did the fraud department, which had no data. He did Lobby Boys, did 11K. KD3 does 29,000, right? 2023, back in my prime, no data. Nas does 16K with Magic 2 and 15K with Magic 3. And then in 2025, Jim Jones does 3,600 with At the Church's Steps, right? So his last album did 3,600, and he's on here talking about billboards and numbers and how he's more relevant. And
but he's popping now. Coop sold more than that of his album out the trunk in Atlanta.
Right. Yo, Canopy. That was your single, Canopy.
I did. Yes, I actually did.
Yeah.
I've actually gotten checks from iTunes. Yes.
Oh shit! Right. So play on, player. So the point is that Jim Jones has never. And the thing about numbers is that when you start talking about relevancy, they will bring up the numbers to talk about how relevant somebody is. So when DJ Vlad, when 21 Savage said that Nas wasn't relevant, he brought up the numbers and he said, well, look at the numbers. They're telling you the truth because he's comparing it to a Drake or a K Dot or these cats that were doing 100 and 200,000 as if to say that, well, Nas is only doing 30K, right? So, and here's the numbers, right? KD1 does 47,000 in 2020. 56,000 for KD2, 29,000 for KD3. M1 does 22K, M2 16, M3 15. Cool. These are the relevant artists of the 2020s. Griselda, love Griselda. Their total streams, West Side does 2.8 million. Benny does 1.6. Conway does 1.2. All together, as a unit, they get 5.6 million streams per month. Nas does 9.2. Do we all agree that Griselda is relevant? Yes.
Yo, man, stop playing with LP and pass the collection plate around. Stop playing.
So do we all believe that Griselda is relevant? Yes. Right? How is Nas not relevant if the standard is the numbers, right? Then you talk about Benny's best album, Tana Talk 4, did 20K first week. Already M1 did more than that, and that was a ghost drop. Then you have Everybody Can Go. That did 19,000. That was on Def Jam. That was last year.
With major promo.
Okay,
right?
So what I will tell you is that much like you don't like them moving the goalposts, well, we can't move the goalposts either. And so that's what I'm saying about what you're saying about the numbers. No, I understand what you're saying about the numbers, and the numbers are the numbers. I'm sorry, my dog just came in the house with my daughter.
Bro, you looked at the dog. I thought I heard a dog. Then you're looking up like, how big is your dog, bro?
Yeah.
I was looking like, yo, my dog walked in.
But nah, it's not moving the goalposts. LP speaking their language. That's the whole point. That's their language.
Yeah. Like we don't. The thing is that the issue. Hey, so the thing is that we always got to compromise, right? Because true hip hop heads or true Nas fans or whatever the story is, we always got to be we're bigger than this and it's not about the numbers and all that type of shit. And they use it to downplay them. And more so than it being a defense of Nas, and obviously this is that you defend the person that most personifies what hip hop stands for and what it is, and it happens to be him. Right. So again, just to tie it all up, because they're saying that he wasn't relevant in the 2020s. Here's some other artists that are quote unquote relevant. Freddie Gibbs, my guy. Alfredo, 31,000 first week. SSS, 21,000 first week. Joey Badass, love the album. Coop, you didn't like it so much. 2,000, 22,000 first week. Ice Spice, is she relevant? Yes. 15K first week. Other album, 28K first week. Sexy Red, 28K first week. Quavo, 32. Meek and Ross did that album together, 31K. Wayne and 2 Chainz, Collygrove 2, 34K. G Herbo, 20K, 22K, 29K. SG, 31K. Lil TJ, 21, 20K. A Boogie with the hoodie, 51K, 26. Roddy Rich, 39K. Lotto, last year, 29K. Favi, 29K. Pusha, with Almost Dry, 55K. Then there's certain artists that dropped albums from the 2000s. T.I., he dropped an album in 2020. It did 23,000. Jeezy dropped an album. It did 29,000. Let's go back to Nas's era. Snoop Dogg, Street Suit did 834,000. That's it. Okay, just 834,000, right? Algo did 5K. Back on Death Row did 11K. Missionary, the Missionary, the sequel did 38K. Mary J. Blige, Love Her to Death, she dropped an album, 25K. Mariah Carey dropped an album, 2020, did 21K. In 2018, she dropped an album that did 51K. Nas that same year did 77K. So please, when it comes to if the argument is that the numbers are the relevancy point, then how are any of these people relevant? But Nas isn't relevant and he's doing the same numbers. And if one wanted to argue that he's dropping too much music, it's obviously not too much if people keep on purchasing it, right? So, and there's a different marketing approach that we can get to regarding to the Magic series versus KD, because KD, he actually at least does a week of promotion. M1, M2, M3, same week they're dropping, people are jumping, they're getting it. If you're on Instagram and Twitter, you get it. If you don't, you don't even know it exists to some fan bases, right? And then that goes to the Jim Jones part of it about relevancy, right? Because, okay, so let's say that they won't give Nas his credit because it's not about the numbers. All right, cool. So then if Ice Spice is relevant, it's because she's fine, right? If it's about Sexy Red, it's because she's doing what she's doing. So what is relevancy?
It's because mainstream media tells you is relevant. This is a groupthink era. If mainstream media tells you these people are relevant, that's who's quote unquote relevant.
Right.
If they don't talk about certain people, then they're irrelevant.
Right. And then to us hip hop heads, to Coop's point, and where the separation really stops, as a hip hop head, to me, relevancy is selling out Madison Square Garden. To me, relevancy is Yankee Stadium. Relevancy is doing a world tour with Wu-Tang, doing a tour with Mary J. Blige, doing a tour with Lauryn Hill, doing a residency in Vegas. We give everybody props for doing a residency in Vegas. Nas is doing Illmatic for the 30,000th time in 30 years, and you can go catch it right now. He's about to be in Berkeley doing it again with the symphony in San Francisco. That's where hip-hop heads feel the relevancy is.
And
so
Jim is performing in front of crickets at Summer Jam, but go ahead, LP.
Seriously. When Jim Jones is saying, I'm showing, you know, my generation how to stay relevant. This is how you do it. It's like, well, respectfully, if you feel like your way of being relevant is to troll and disrespect legends, then that's on you, dog. Let whoever follows you be following you. And then on top of that, if fucking the kids really do have your ear, let's say that say that he's right and he does have the kids' ear. That's what you're showing them. You're showing them that fuck the legacies, fuck hip hop, disrespect, do what you got to do to stay relevant. Like that, you're showing the next generation to disrespect the legends. And it's not just about Nas, because Pusha's a legend at that point. And if he wants to compete with Pusha, that's fine. But then you're also doing it to Styles P, right? So it's like, dog, if you feel that that's what you got to do to stay on, then that's cool, man. But keep that shit over there and don't bring it in with what hip hop's got going on. And,
right. Can I interject real quick? That's why the Nas thing caught so much fire and went viral more so than the Styles P and the Pusha T situations, not because of you know, that he can actually compete with those two guys. It's just how egregious it is that he brought up Nas's name and Nas's status in the game. That's why it caught fire and went viral, because you full on delusional bringing Nas into it. And then I think the whole thing with going with the youngins is like he can sell that bullshit notion to him. He can't sell it to the people that really listen to him on his come up in his own era. Nas is his peer. He's not peers with the guys of this era. Hell, Kendrick Drake and J. Cole are old themselves at this point. You know what I'm saying? He's not their peers. He's Nas's peer, if anything. And my son be 18 tomorrow, as a matter of fact. He don't know who Jim Jones is, but he knows who Nas is.
You saw the video with the kids, and they asked him, and then nobody knew who Jim Jones was, and there was like 7. Like that's just a recent video that dropped. And here's the thing about the youth, right? They say that Jim Jones will say that I work with all the new cats and everything. Check me out. This is who Nas has worked with since 2020. He's worked with 21 Savage, Blast, Favi, A Boogie, YG, ASAP Ferg, ASAP Rocky, Corday, Freddie Gibbs, he's an old, but whatever, we'll give it to him. Metro Boomin, Hit Boy, Joey Badass, Lil Durk, Dave East, Don Toliver, Anderson .Paak. And that's just on his albums. So even when it comes to the youth, he's repping it with the youth. Now let's talk about the difference. While Jim Jones is out here trying to downplay the legends, Nas just helped Slick Rick put out his first album in 40-something years or whatever. Nas put EPMD on his album, then put Eminem on the song with EPMD, right? Nas brought Slick Rick and G-Rap out to Madison Square Garden. That's a fact. That's what happened.
Oh, G-Rap was Yankee Stadium. G-Rap was Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, my bad. So then you have the fund, right? Rakim is eating. He probably spent all that money on his production and the features and shit. But
don't do that.
I'm telling you, half of that budget went to them features. You know what I'm saying? So, but he got paid. Scarface got paid. Kumo D got paid. Roxanne Shante got paid.
But let's not get it twisted. Slick Rick didn't just pay for that movie.
Right.
Yeah. No, exactly. And then look at what he's doing with the current theme, right? The whole Mass Appeal thing that's happening right now, dropping Slick Rick. I just thought about this. Who should actually be helping put out a Big L album? Nas or Jim Jones? Who should be actually? It should be Jim.
I actually think it should be Cam. But
or Cam. Well, yeah.
But exactly. The Harlem connection is still there. Let me ask you this, LP, because shout out to O in the Discord, man. He brought up an interesting perspective that I hadn't heard anybody else say. He said that, Jim is a clout chaser, right? And we remember we did this whole same discussion, a few years ago when 21 Savage said that Nas was irrelevant. You brought that up. So when 21 did it, they talked behind the scenes and got together for a record. All right. So it's on wax. Jim is out there on a couple interviews. Like I think one was a Complex saying he'd like to do a song with Nas because he never, once they pieced it up or whatever, everything was cool. They never got to do a record. So do you think in his warped brain that he's like saying, well, to get Nas's attention, like to maybe get on a record, that I got to be disrespectful, like, 21 was doing to get his attention so we could finally talk because he don't answer my calls or something like that. Because Nas, when he like curves somebody on a feature, they have a tendency to get in their feelings like pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, that's what's the interesting thing about Jimmy is that he started showing Nas love recently, talking about his style, rating him second to Fab all time when it comes to fashion and all that. He had Jim had no reason to show Nas any love based off of the history that they got, right? So maybe I think that was a great point. I can't really speak on what his motives are. I just know it's nasty work now, and that to somebody saying, I see in the chat, somebody saying that how can't we understand that Jim Jones has young fans? The argument isn't based, we're not saying that Jim Jones doesn't have young fans. We're saying don't act like Nas don't have young fans. Don't act like
hit him with that 10% LP. What we talk about behind the scenes, that 10%
right.
number.
Yo, this is what's crazy about it. Jim Jones does about 800-something thousand monthly listeners. Nas does 9 million. If it's only old heads, and we know that old heads don't stream like that, and it's like we're just saying that. So how it's mathematically impossible that 9 million people listening to Nas on a monthly are all 38, 40 and up. By percentage, it's going to be more younger people.
LP, no, he's been cooking. Let me cook.
Do your thing.
Why are you worried about a guy who only gets 800,000 streams a month? Please explain that part of the game to me where I should give a fuck.
It's not a
That was the
worry.
point,
It's
because
about
he's
hip hop,
saying
but
if
that is the
Nas only
point.
got 10% of his fan base, that's still more than
No,
Jim
but that's
Jones' whole fan
That's
base.
the whole point. This whole rundown that you're doing is saying that he's not worth the smoke. That's why Nas is not saying
Well,
nothing.
you
So
know,
I
it's
wanna
not so
read,
much about.
hold
It's
on.
not.
Let me read something. Let me read something out to you because here's the thing about when you're the greatest MC of all time. He actually already called this motion. I'm going to read it out to you. Nas, like the NASCAR lines, could only be seen from up high. Only the true understand me, but I see him as family. I saw this shit when I was 14. I counted on it. I was born with a poignant style they wanted. Never dissing for clout. Y'all know what this about. Niggas trying to deflect from the fact that people saw them fizzle out. He's already spoken to all this, guys. There's nothing to talk about. He's literally already addressed these guys and addressed the situation because the situation right now, he's been dealing with literally since he was 14 years old. He's calling it on Slow It Down. It's why it's damn near my favorite song because he's talking about what he's been dealing with in the industry the entirety of the time. He already called this shot. It's not worth the fucking smoke.
No,
No,
it's not about
no,
that,
it's
because
not.
we've always
It
looked
is
at
about
Jim
that.
like we
No,
always
it
looked
is
at Jim
about
for
that. You
buffoonery.
don't get to shift the goalpost about what it's about.
No,
This is
it's
about
about
the
the
relevancy
host.
of Nas. This is about the relevancy of Nas, and Jim Jones doesn't get to audit that in the discussion.
We
So
get to
who's
audit
the
that.
responsible?
We we get
Are the
we get to
podcasts,
audit that.
like, they're irresponsible? We got to be the ones that's responsible to give the people the knowledge that they don't know.
Sometimes the responsible thing to do is to not acknowledge a motherfucker that don't even get 1 million streams a month on his own shit.
Right. You know, no, you know what? And the thing is that first off, that's a reflection of how the streams that you do don't correlate to the attention that you can get. Right. Then second of
Correct.
all,
Smoke and mirrors.
it would be different if Nas was here right now and he was doing all this, or if he, I don't like when some people are saying that Nas is going to have shots for Jim Jones. No, he's not, because to your point, Coop, that's exactly how he thinks. But the
Right.
issue is
Not
is
worth
is
it.
that the narrative and all these different cats, Ray Daniels with his Chuck E. Cheese glasses. You know what I'm
But
saying?
Clue
Like,
was the worst. Like, Clues from Queens, we used to get Clue tapes because of Nas, to
Jim
not,
Jones,
really give any pushback. That's what was most
yeah,
nasty.
and it's like, dog, we checked them Clue tapes because Nas was on them in the beginning
Jim,
before X and all them really started getting on there. The people in '95 and '96 and '97 when we was getting them Clue tapes, we were trying to catch Firm freestyles. We were trying to catch QB and Mob Deep freestyles, and Clue. And that's the issue is that the narrative has been able to go on multiple big time platforms and not be checked because people don't know the
There you go.
data because they don't understand that this is currently happening. Coop, you know that this is. Sean and AG know. People in the chats know, but the rest of the people don't. So we're laying down the law. You get what I'm saying?
I just look at it from the perspective of a guy that like 50 was at his peak, and this guy barely like he was like, "Oh, you don't want to play with me." Like 50 couldn't get that out of him at his best shot.
Yeah.
So like I just find it hard to believe that this is really about to be anything than what it's already been. This is kind of like what people do when it comes to him. Like he still has thrived in spite of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah, yeah.
about
I mean,
killing the narratives.
right.
I hear you. I just don't know if you. Here's the thing about it, like because of how this whole situation is unfolding media wise. Oh no, he's the person that they're going to pick, and he knows it, and so he moves above the fray with it. And so at some point, it's like, well, us as the fan base got to move above the fray with it too, because he has. Like if this was a diss song, he would be the half a bar on the takeover. Y'all only get half a bar. Jim Jones would be the half a bar. Like Jim Jones wouldn't get no
Yeah.
Prodigy Nas action. Like he's the half a bar. He's J.O. Felony. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like it ain't hitting me like that. And when I'm watching these interviews, I'm seeing a guy that's like, this is what I'm saying. Even when Mace and Cam are clowning, they come off as rap niggas, like niggas who know they rap shit. And so even if you don't like what they saying, even if they be disrespectful to somebody else, even when they being disrespectful to Jim, you know what I'm saying? But like when they get on that rap shit, like when Cam was telling that Big L story one time about how L was acting and pulling up on niggas with them, pulling the money out the trunk and all that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no, the feel, the vibe of that feels so much more respectable and credible to me. And so when I'm hearing Jim talk, it just don't feel credible to me. And so that's the part about it. It's like, oh no, I understand everything that you're saying. And if you want to plant the flag for him, it's just like from this stuff that I've been watching this guy say, I'm like, oh no, let him keep on crashing the plane. Like keep on talking if you want to. It's like,
Just to that point right there, let me ask you this, Coop. You said keep on letting him talk if he wants to. Like, if we know better and let it go unchecked and don't kill these narratives, then how are we any different than the pods that he's getting on popping off about this and they're not checking them? Jada and Joe, you know what I'm saying? Bag Fuel, Esso and Heineken. Like, if they're not checking them in real time, DJ Clue from Queens, who's, you know what I'm saying, came up, you know, his mixtapes came up because Nas. If we don't check and dispel those narratives, how are we any different?
No, okay, so I don't. Okay, so like, no, you're right.
And
And it's
Coop, hey, keep in mind, Coop,
no, that's right.
you
No, no,
were that.
no, no, no,
Remember,
no.
keep in mind, I'm a fan, so I've been on the pods with all the heads that are in the chat. We appreciate it, dog. When he wasn't getting his proper due, and we were across the street, it was cats like you that put shit where it needed to be. And literally, this whole podcast space, in my opinion, is built off of the run that Nas had and the way that you and all these people promoted it and made
I
shit be known when it was happening, right? So this
totally
is
agree.
just a final form of this, because this has gotten to a point where it's like, again, it's not, cats are defending Nas, but they don't know the current, and we just want to put everything on the table. So at least, you know, people might come back to this later on, they might clip it, whoever the fuck, right? We're making it known, we're making it seen, the people in the chat, the people that have been speaking about this stuff for years, that hey, this is what it is,
Yeah,
these are the facts, and we got to set it straight if nobody else ever can. If
right.
BJ
It's
Clue
bigger than
don't want to
Jim.
say nothing,
It's the
yeah,
narrative. Yeah.
right. If
No,
Clue don't
okay.
want to do that, if Shannon Sharp don't know no better, if Ray Daniels, you know what I'm saying? If he doesn't know any better, I seen him recently just do a Bag Fuel interview where Earn Your Leisure interview where he's really just starting to now. He's like, oh man, you know what? I didn't look at it like Nas was that good until you broke it down, bro. All he said was that Stillmatic was a classic. He didn't even look at it that close. It's just like, who are these guys that have these platforms that aren't even willing to do half of what you did back in 2020 and 2021 when you were attacking Ebro, when you were attacking Two T's, when you guys had to put your foot down on this Nas shit. In my opinion, this is one of those moments.
Okay, so I'm going to say some things to you very honestly and candidly because you and I have spoken and broken bread face to face, and I know you've been following me on various platforms in this pod space for quite some time. And I love your takes and your perspective and your passion, and I always have, like prior to today. So everything has a double-edged sword, LP, is what I found out from all this. So it's like so most of y'all know me for waving this flag, right? So I would tell you on the dual side of that, on the other side of that, waving the flag as hard as I've waved it has hurt me because my overall hip hop opinion isn't as respected as it should be. It still comes off as a Nas thing. And so it's hurt me with some of the other things that I've tried to do. And I think because of personal conversations that I've had with Taj about how he perceives things that I'm not going to share, it has altered the way that I have dealt with things because of personal things that have been shared with me that I'm not privy to share. You get what I'm saying? And so, no, I have been that guy, and that is kind of why everybody knows me in the sense, but I personally have suffered from it even in relationships within his camp. Like some things have not happened because of with the fervor that I've approached things. So sometimes you can approach things in a manner with too much intensity and the message can get lost because of that. And so while a lot of y'all have picked up on me because of my intensity and the fervor with which I approach things for years, I've pissed a lot of people off. I've made a lot of people angry. There are a lot of people in the industry that I don't know that don't fucking like me at all. You feel what I'm saying? And so when you come up here and wave the flag like this, oh no, I hear you because you sound like me. And so that's why I'm being more mindful about how you audit it because it's like, oh no, I've done exactly that. And so my perspective is just a little different now after being kind of like on this hill for about 5 years. So I don't want you to take it like I'm knocking anything that you're saying whatsoever. I think the thing that I have learned through all of this, specifically when it comes to him, is to pick and choose my battles more wisely. Because even some of the battles that I've chosen, and this is something personal I will share, it's like, oh no, it's made him think I was off the hinge a little bit, that I was taking it so personally. Like, slow it down now, you know? And
Right.
so
I mean,
that's
and you've taken more fades for it, so we're taking your fade. You know what I'm saying? We taking all fades. You feel me? So you get to chill, sit this
no,
one back.
maybe
You
I'm
think you
tired of
probably
the
got a
fade too.
cigar?
No, LP, and I admit maybe I'm just tired of the fade a little bit. There is some fatigue that come with this shit where it's like, well, no, it's like, I'm a rap guy, like not a Nas guy. It's just
Yeah.
my astute rap critique tells me he's the best motherfucker to bless the
Well, you
mic.
know what? I think that that's another issue because AG, I'm gonna alley oop to you here, where they brought up where Jim Jones brought up Shannon Sharp. He said, "Quote a Nas line," right? And Ray Daniels said the same thing, where he was like, Jim Jones asked Shannon to quote a Nas line, but he can't quote it, right? So is he really a fan? And it's like, well, I
He's
only
not a
remember the shit. First off, I only remember the shit of people I care to. I don't memorize shit of people I don't listen to. You get what I'm saying? So what happens with the Nas fan base is that the minute that you got, first off, if he was getting his proper due, Nas fans wouldn't come across as if they're being defensive, and and on top of that, like AG, speak to this, like asking me to quote a line, and then if I quote it, you tell me, oh, well, you're a Nas fan, then it's a catch-22. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because we've seen Cameron quote Nas. He done quoted
yeah,
Clue mixtape
That's what
lines.
I
We've seen
mean. Like, oh, so
50.
LP. If Cameron was talking the way Jim is talking, I would be up here acting like you. That's my whole point. If it was Cam, I'd be
yeah,
like, oh shit. It's like, nigga, you know better. Like, I don't know if this guy knows better. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he's
Yeah.
not ahead. It's like, how about this? Like, when you're ahead, it's like we don't just know. Like, how about this? If you were to walk into Jay's house right now, you'd be like, run down the sequence of Illmatic and it was written. He'd run it down for you in his head because he's ahead. Jim's
yeah.
not like that. And so I don't respect some of this. If Cam was like, yo, this nigga Nas ain't relevant. If Cam was saying it, no, I would feel differently about it. Can't be knowing what he talking about. This is coming from a guy that don't know what he talking
No,
about.
that's the
A
point.
lot of these people that have slandered Nas that I've gotten on about, you understand these have been some of the more credible journalists in our business. That's what I'm saying. I haven't been jumping on some bandwagon about people that don't do shit. No, I'm talking about Vibe Magazine at their peak slandering this guy. I'm talking about Jay slandering this guy. No, Jim Jones ain't the same level as the shit that I was talking about too. I'm not knocking your hustle, but I'm also telling you too, the attack that I was putting on was based on the level of the attack. It's like, no, it's coming from high level media people in the black media,
And
like
it
high
still
ranking
is.
black media.
And it still is. And that's the problem. Is
But
that
Jim's not that. But Jim's not that though, unless you're telling me he's a plant. Now, if your motive is to
No,
tell
no.
no.
I'm not saying he's a
Jim is
plant.
not the problem. Nobody ever took. That's the point you missing, Coop. Nobody's taking Jim seriously. It's that if it remains unchecked, he's been on like 4 or 5 pods since this initial thing jumped off, and nobody is putting him to task. Like Shannon did the most. And the point is, it's not about what he's saying because nobody takes him seriously. But that's how narratives get started. That's how
doesn't
things grow and then get
okay,
some
okay,
legs, because if it goes unchecked, then it
okay.
continues to like the whole bad beats thing. Vlad is a big proponent of that. We don't take nothing Vlad says seriously, but it's a big contingent of people out there that does. You know what I'm saying? So that's how these things get started. So it's not necessarily taking Jim Jones to task, it's taking to task all the platforms that didn't challenge anything he said, therefore it gains legs. And then to answer your question, LP, like as hip hop fans, we got to stop doing that. Like, oh, quote some bars or do this if you're so much a fan, because that's a tired argument. That just doesn't do anything but speak to your memory recall on something. That doesn't show how big of a fan you are of anything. Because even if so, if somebody's not a Nas fan and you ask me to quote a Nas like verse to you, it's not like you gonna jump over the fence and be like, yo, shit, he the illest, son. You quoted that bar to me. It's not even possible. And it doesn't give you the full scope of an artist. That's like saying, like, yo, convince me this is a 4 Michelin star restaurant, and then you ask me to give you the chicken on the toothpick like the Chinese spot at the mall food court to convince you of that. You ain't gonna get that from me quoting any bars or lyrics to you. So that's a tired argument. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to change anything or move the needle for anybody that you're arguing with. That's just showing like how good your memory recall is. It's 1,000 songs that I can like recite if I hear the beat come on and then go to it, but just pulling it out of thin air. You know what I'm saying? I could be the biggest fan of somebody and might not can do that to a lot of songs or whatever. So for them hating on Shannon because he couldn't quote something, that doesn't mean nothing to me. You feel me? Like it don't mean he's not a fan of Nas's work just because he couldn't quote some lyrics.
Okay, let me ask you something, just like on some eye test stuff, because sometimes I read stuff by the eye test because that's the thing to me. Like, there's a difference between media yellow journalism. There's a difference between a Jay-Z funding, certain things in his favor that may push Nas more out the spear than somebody who, when I'm watching it, it looks something that, quite frankly, appears it's closer to an act of the desperation at the end of somebody's career for them to stay relevant. That's what I'm saying. It's like when I watch these interviews, I'm seeing desperation more than I'm seeing inspiration and viral talk. And that's what I mean. Is it's like, nah, this ain't coming from a place of somebody being hot or popping and relevant. It's coming off as somebody that's doing it to try to stay relevant because as Nas quoted and Slow It Down, they star has fizzled out and now they have to chase for clout. And here's the reality of the matter. Part of why he is being still used is because, well, in the relevancy sphere, he is actually still relevant. That's what I mean. It's like, no, Jim Jones is using Nas because Nas is the one who's relevant, not Jim Jones.
Right, not the other way around. Yeah.
It's an act. So that's what I'm saying. It's an act of desperation with me. And it's like, so part of me is like, well, it's like, I was taught to be kind when somebody's desperate. It's like, that's why I ain't saying it.
But Coop, to your point though, to your point though, Coop, the issue is that they pick Nas because they feel they can pick on Nas, right? And
Yeah.
they don't use the lyrics because that's like again, and there's something about subjectivity. I think that when they say every MC should feel they're the best, bullshit. You get what I'm saying, bro? You're
No,
not the best.
I disagree, LP. I don't think they pick on. I don't think they pull out Nas just because they feel like they can pick on him. I feel like they do that because he's the bar. You're not going to pick a mediocre rapper and say, "Yo, I'm better than that guy." I think they do it because he's the bar. He's the standard.
Okay.
Right. No. What I'm saying is that from a real quick, Coop, from a lyrical standpoint, I'm saying when they bring up Nas, what I'm saying is like he becomes like a punching bag. It's not because of the lyrics, because nobody's saying that they're better than except for Jim Jones. It's that it's easy to pick out his relevancy, the lack of numbers, because they don't do that with Hove. They don't do that with Snoop. They don't do that with X. They do it with Nas because they don't believe that he has the numbers that they do, and then we're proving in real time that he does. But that's why Vlad can keep on doing that. That's why it goes unchecked. If Jim Jones said, I sell more than Jay-Z, I'm more influenced, they all would have been like, you're tripping. What are you talking about? But because it's Nas, they're just like, but Jim, man, it's not about that, man. It's about the lyrics. Nah, fuck
Well, Nas is the
too.
conundrum. Nas is the hip hop conundrum. What he said, overground and underground has never been seen. That's the conundrum. Because in your mind, his content and what he does, you would think he's like, like one of those artists, like, no disrespect to like a Black Thought or somebody like that, but he's doing those type of numbers. Nas was a superstar. I'm sorry, pardon me for saying was. He is a superstar. So it's like, I mean, it's kind of confusing when they think about it because people that were in his peer group, like Fat Joe and Jada, when they're sitting there, like they didn't call back to that. Like, yo, Nas does numbers. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the wherewithal to do that. You know what I mean? Because they got to say, like, okay, I know the numbers that I was moving. Nas had to be moving a lot more than I was moving. You know what I'm saying? But narratives, when they grow legs, you start to believe in them.
Well, AG, even a Jim Jones, even a Fat Joe, just a few years back when he was doing an interview, he said that Jay-Z, and again, it's not a knock on Jay-Z. This is just, he said that Jay-Z was the only one from his era still being current, still sounding current. This is in the middle of the KD run.
Yeah.
He said that Hove was the only one still being current. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah,
downplay it more than they should because they really don't know
right.
about what's currently
Right.
going on,
People
right?
don't realize they overinflate. Like the gap between Jay and Nas, just number wise, was smaller than the gap between Drake and Kendrick, if we being honest, up until
Right.
this past year. Like not Jay's sales once he hit volume 2 on, their sales was like 2 to 1. Like if Nas was going platinum, Jay was going double. If Nas was going double, like Jay was doing like 3 and some change. Like they were closer than what people realized, but we lived it, and people that weren't there or people that were there give you revisionist history and act like it really wasn't even close. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Okay,
right.
fellas, hold on. Let's get these super chats real quick, fellas.
No doubt.
Amon is not done with Coop.
What did he say? He said they don't put it up there with Stank on you, LOL. I'm talking aesthetically in terms of what it provides to the listener. I'm not talking about the quality. Pet Sounds is a better album than Stank on you. Okay? Are you happy? It's not better than Aquemini, in my opinion, though. Okay.
Right. What's good?
Trife, LP made the Discord proud. Man.
Word. Shout out to Trife, bro. Thanks for the dub, bro.
Easel.
CJ the Kid, LP, hope you've been running those miles, bro.
All day, boy.
No, pause. You running those
Yeah.
miles, bro? Hope you was running those
Yo,
miles. What
man,
does it
first
even
off,
mean?
hey, chat.
How's that even a
Sean
pause?
does
Sounds so
not
immature.
respect the pause. Look, he's gonna
What does it
find
mean by
pauses
that?
where they don't exist, and if you say pause, he's gonna make pretend he didn't hear the pause anyway. So it don't
Exactly.
matter, dog.
That is
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
What does that even mean?
Sean
Sean does
don't
not
honor the
adhere
pause,
to the
man.
rules of the game.
Hope you were
Yeah,
running those
yeah, yeah.
miles, bro. What does that mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Sean is so immature. Sean
just-
ain't talked in 20 minutes, and this is what he gonna add.
yeah, I was talking.
Do say
Duh.
I
Shit.
can quote Nas easily. Nobody can quote Kendrick when asked. I'm just seeing viral talk at this point. Okay, so let's kind of like round up the discussion with this. And we all need to be mindful of this as fans. And this is what I mean. I'm on the other side looking at it. And here's what we need to be realistic with. People need to forget, and we've all talked about this. When he dropped King's Disease, we thought that was a retirement album.
Yeah.
So I say this respectfully. I just lost my father this year, but he got diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer 5 years ago. The doctor gave him 1 year to live. We got 4 extra years. So when he passed, I wasn't as sad because I understood that we was on borrowed time. Y'all do understand we've been on borrowed time, right? And so all of this, even the fact that we're even getting to have this conversation about him, is based on the fact that he picked it back up and gave us some extra time. And so I really like the focus to be on that time than somebody who doesn't deserve the time of day. Because here's the reality of the matter too. Oh, how much longer is this run really about to run? We haven't heard an album in a couple of years. The Preem album is coming. What are the realistic expectations that we are going to get anything after the DJ Premier album, guys?
I am glad you said that, Coop, because all
Yeah.
day in the Discord today, I was saying he should hang it up after that.
That's what I'm saying. Why is the talk Jim Jones instead of the fact that the greatest rapper of all time might be retiring? Because here's what people keep
Because he
forgetting
don't
about
deserve, we don't deserve anything else from him at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because if he's not going to be appreciated, let this be a
about
rap.
this. But think about this, AG. He's about to give us the only thing that people have really been asking for that he hasn't done.
Yep. And niggas
This
still
album,
ain't grateful.
once this album is done, like literally, what else is there for him to do? And so I would like the conversation to be more focused on the fact that the greatest MC of all time might be retiring. This might be his last album. That is a realistic possibility, seeing how 6 albums ago we thought he might be done. So it's
Right.
like, no, so it's like,
Well,
no, real talk. I don't want to talk about Jim Jones. I want to talk about the fact that the greatest MC of all time might be retiring. That's how we honor his legacy.
Well, I think it's a combination of both because, first off, we got to honor the legacy by defending it when they don't acknowledge it, right?
There
So
you
if we're
go.
saying that he was about to retire and then he dropped 6 albums and they act like it don't exist, the best way that I can honor the greatest MC who was about to retire is by saying, hey, check this out. Don't downplay what he did. Don't downplay any of the albums from a musical standpoint because they all were nominated for a Grammy. Don't downplay them from a number standpoint because he was doing the same numbers that y'all said was relevant, but you downplay him for this, but not them for that. They're literally, Coop, on here trying to act like, yeah, Jim, well, you got it now. No, you don't got it now. And you're dishonoring the legacy by even making that comparison about all of that. In regards to Nas retiring, I don't think he's going to retire just because I think it's in him, right?
What
And we had a conversation in the background about how like sometimes fans want more for their MCs than MCs
No,
want
no,
for
there's no more
themselves.
to no. Y'all are being unreasonable. After he does an album from DJ Premier, there is nothing fucking else to ask for this man.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, yeah, there's not. But you're speaking from a fan standpoint because he's doing it because he loves to do
Literally
it.
done everything there is to do on the microphone with every
That's
producer.
fine.
Does the
So
album.
has Jay-Z. He might still drop it. That's for the love of the game. That's why
But
he's
it ain't no
Nas
y'all, because I
and
said he
others
should retire
aren't.
because the fans don't deserve it at this point. Because if this few weeks is any evidence of the love that he's getting, then nah, I'll give you this DJ Premier album. That way the Dusty Illmatic heads can get what they want, and then I'm quietly bowing out because
I don't
nobody
know
deserves anything at that point.
whether he drops one or not, I feel like we've already ate. Like that's why
Let
I'm
me
not
ask
tripping
you
about when this album drops
Right.
because we just got
But-
6.
but look.
What I'm saying is that I think, in my opinion, I don't the same way, Coop, that you've been saying that Nas looks beyond that. I feel like he looks beyond all the noise. I don't think he cares if he sells one album. He's going to drop a dope album because he has the motivation
The
to do
love,
it, and
the
I don't
love.
think that that's lost on him. I
Like
think we
Ebro
as
said, he's
fans
giving
worry
more
about
back to
that.
hip hop. He's giving more,
Right.
like Ebro said, he's giving more back to hip hop than anybody else.
Okay, so with that said, and this is what I'm trying to say. If we're all on the same page that this is the greatest MC of all time, correct? If we're all on
Absolutely.
the same page that there is a sincere possibility, because quite frankly, this rap shit don't pay like I don't know 9 or 10 other endeavors he has. Like if he's ranking what rap pays him, it probably doesn't even register in his top 10 anymore. So
Probably not.
he's probably spending more money helping Slick Rick and Ghostface and Raekwon put their albums together and his album together than
He's
he
an exec.
is getting off of this shit. So we've been knowing that he's doing it for the love. But what I'm saying is has people that are considered to be part of his core fan base. We have just spent an hour and some change talking about Jim Jones instead of talking about the Nas and DJ Premier
We've
album.
only been talking about Nas, though. I mean,
But nah, don't do that, because any other time that me and Sean bring up the album, like you talk about, like the album ain't coming, like all that.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you the most important thing that I learned from Taj, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Everybody need to listen to what I'm saying. When you put Nas's name with another rapper's name, in terms of how the media in the viral space works for marketing, is not at a benefit to Nas. It is only at a benefit to Nas when you talk about only Nas. That's from somebody inside of this camp. I don't care how anybody else feel about it. That's coming from somebody inside his camp saying, no, that's not to his benefit. And that's what other multiple people in the camp are saying. And that's a fact. And so what I am saying is that if he's the greatest MC of all time, if he's doing these Illmatic shows with an orchestra, if the DJ Premier album is about to talk, that has a core fan base, need to be the core center and focus of the discussion, not Jim Jones. This shit read Jim Jones. It says Nas and Jim Jones on our headline. Not Nas and DJ Premier about to drop what may be Nas's last album. So we be careful too.
But now you're talking about like 3 or 6 months from now.
Not LP. How many times have we? Hold on, LP. Hold on, LP. 1 second. How many times have we brought up the DJ Premier Nas album on this show, and then you downplay it like, yo, I'm telling you that we not getting the album, no top suit, and this and that. Now you want to talk about it all of a sudden.
AG, you're missing the point. Don't sit up there and try to sit up and indict something that I said weeks ago on right
did
now.
That not happen?
Fam, I'm gonna tell you like this. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. We talking about some shit that's going on right now. What's going on right now is that we know the Nas and Premier album is getting worked on right now. We did not know
that before.
No, you didn't know that for certain because he's been on tour and overseas and back and forth. I know for certain.
My nigga dropped the whole calendar. Like I said with DJ Premier.
Okay, so let me tell you something about being in the studio and working with artists. The calendar don't always go the way it say. Slick Rick just spent 4 years working on an album, fam. You didn't know that album took 4 years till he told you so. You only know what artists tell you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I see what you're saying in general, like in the grand scheme of things, but on a weekly episodic
here's what I'm saying. I know for a fact.
You talk about what's relevant at that moment.
I know for a fact right now that there's actual music that Nas and DJ Premier have made. Like there's actual music that's been made by those two guys.
You heard it?
No, I haven't heard it, but I
So
know it's been made. But what I'm saying is that that should be the focus if you think he's the greatest MC of all time. Isn't this what everybody been waiting for?
well, yeah, but we can discuss that when it gets to that point where that's what's coming out and that's
You
what's
had
but
your
dropping.
point. It's
we
rollout
didn't.
season. They just dropped the Slick Rick album. It is time to start talking about it. That's my whole point. Now, don't y'all understand what's going on? They're diverting attention
Yes.
from this album and got us talking about Jim Jones, except for the fact that this project is really
Well,
right
Jim
now.
moved the goalpost itself away from music. One thing he touched upon was influence. So let's speak to that. Is it anything that Jim has done in the game influence? Because first he said Billboard, then he moved the goalpost and was saying he could wrap circles around him. Then he moved the goalpost. He said he made a boo-boo about the Billboard, so he said he could wrap circles around him. Then he moved the goalpost again and said influence. So before we get off this topic, is it anything Jim brought to the game that's more influential than Nas? Is anything that Jim wore more iconic than the QB chain? Coop, you just spoke to the iconic photo of Slick Rick with all the jewelry and the eye patch and stuff like that. So Nas, you know, like you said before, people go to the barbershop like, yo, go give me the 96 Nas fade. You know what I'm saying? The QB chain on the cover of QB's Finest album, iconic. Shout out to LP who hooked me up with a vinyl QB's Finest because he know I was searching for it. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, bro. So like, you know, all these things that Nas brought to the game, even on the influence side of things, is there anything that Jim has done with the True Religions or the chain wallets or anything like that as a collective, not just him? He's taking credit for a movement as a collective that was Dipset that he's brought to the game that's more influential than Nas. Anything.
That's what I mean. Even with the Dipset shit, the influence, that's Cam. That's
Yeah.
why if
Right.
Cam was saying this, it would be different because it's like, oh no, Cam, like, how about this? Dipset is the only New York culture that influenced Atlanta music in the last 25 years, but that's Cam, that's not Jim. That's why it's like, oh no, if Cam was saying that, I'd be like, because ain't no New York niggas influenced Atlanta or Southern culture except for really Dipset the last 25 years. So if Cam want to speak to some relevancy and some cultural things because of what he did as the front man of Dipset, it's like, no, that deserve all the smoke, because then it's like that's somebody saying some legit shit coming from a legit place that was legit popping when some of Nas's stars started to fame. And when I say that, when I say started to fame, I'm not saying it from the perspective of he's not hot, he's not dope anymore. That's just what happened. Stevie Wonder wasn't as hot as he was when he made Hotter Than July as he was when he made Songs in the Key of Life 3 years before. Like that's just kind of how the game goes. So Cam can speak to that with bars, with relevancy, with albums, with cultural influence and impact enough that it's like, oh no, I think that needs some smoke. If Cam and Mace pulling up on their show, which goes viral weekly for the shit that they talk, oh no, it deserves some smoke. I just
They
don't know.
haven't spoken on this yet, no?
Like how about this?
No.
And y'all
Okay.
are forgetting this. I've always been more about the media person that's letting the idiot blow the smoke than the idiot blowing the smoke. So if
That's
we
what we're
want to
doing.
who the problem is,
literally
That's
what
what
we're
this whole
doing, though,
point
Coop.
was.
well,
Literally.
no. But y'all been talking about Jim. Y'all ain't been talking
No,
about
we
Clue and
haven't
all
been
these
talking
other.
about so Coop,
I
respectfully.
just went on a whole rant about like if it's unchecked.
Every stat
No,
that
you're
we've
talking
been
about not
bringing
being
up is
checked. Let's
about
talk about what Jim
Nas.
said. Like, no. Let's talk
No,
about why somebody like
Jim Jones is the catalyst
no. Listen to
or
what I'm
why the discussion started.
saying.
We have not been talking about Jim Jones like that. It's been 80 to 90%. It's that Jim Jones is the one that's re-bringing this conversation. And we've been saying that all these media heads are letting him slide with the conversation, which is why we need to break down the facts and honor an MC, like you said, that was about to retire with this 6-album run. That's literally what we're doing right now.
No. So journalistically speaking, that's not what we're doing, because if we were doing that, we would be breaking down why DJ Clue, who is from Queens, is allowing.
I just said that 20 minutes ago,
No. AG, you said it. We haven't had any sort of discourse, dialogue, or breakdown about it. You saying it doesn't mean nothing if we on discourse and dialogue and break it down. That is
because
not.
Well, how do
you
you
went
feel
down a
about
totally
that?
different road.
Respectfully, I wasn't finished talking, gentlemen. That is not what we have been discording and dialoguing about. At no point during this conversation have we addressed DJ Clue, who is from Queens, and why. LP, what you said was Clue was the reason, Nas was the reason we was pulling up on the Clue tapes. Well, hold on. Well, let's stop right there and address why he's letting Jim talk this way. That's the discussion, not Jim.
Do your thing.
You the one that pulled up on Hip Hop Talks with all the stuff. See, I'm auditing.
Yeah. So,
So, but
bro,
this is so. This is what I'm
you're
saying. I
free
don't
to.
have a problem with Jim. Jim is coming off like a desperate guy. This goes back to a media narrative that has been associated with Nas for his whole career, and this is just me being realistic with you guys. We're probably at the end of this shit. So instead of quibbling about all this, I want to enjoy what's left of it because we don't know how much left we're getting. What we just got left is extra. That's why I'm not really worried about this shit. It's like, oh no, at this point, for how long we've waited for a Nas and Preem album now, because he hasn't done anything since what, 2 summers ago?
All right, if that's the case, let's talk about this feature verse on the Clipse album then.
Yo, let's get these super chats. We have a bunch of super chats, fellas. Hold up.
Days Trader had on some Ed Hardy's and chain belts for sure. Shout out
Who
to
did?
Sage Trader.
Yeah.
007. It's about what the bag looks like. Nas moves like the Godfather. He's silently probably a billionaire. If that's realized, he gets the same shine Jay does. But maybe he doesn't want that. You know, when you report to Forbes, certain problems come with it. Armand, thank you, Coop. LP, keep up the good work. Armand, get off the chat. Armand, go somewhere. Go away. I want you to go away. I want you to go away. I want you to go
So,
away.
Yo, appreciate the $10 joint. No caption on that. But since we need to focus on current Nas moves and music and get off Jim, let's talk about the Clipse feature then.
More super chats. More super chats. Hold up.
Peace. Leo Cohen, Rosenberg, and Vladimir. They're causers who are down with Jay. Nas a threat to the industry. Bottom line, political. Okay, so this is what. Okay, so let me say this.
The Deuce was one more, wasn't it?
Oh, we got one.
Yeah, we got one more. No,
I think the fact that fans are fighting this battle for Nas is dope. I actually think Nas should be flattered. Pause if necessary. No, there's
no pause necessary.
No. There's no pause necessary. Okay, so I'm just in the point of wanting to win the war. You know, so it's like I'm not sure what we're fighting. Like, we fighting Jim Jones? It's like, no, I don't want to fight Jim Jones. Fuck Jim Jones.
Yeah, no, dog, and you're not wrong, Coop. It's just that, again, Jim Jones is just the catalyst for all these platforms that are letting him slide with the shit. So yeah, again, when I bring up Clue, if you want to jump in and really dissect it, then cool. But it was never about him as much as if he's the catalyst for why this is going on still.
So I do, because I'm going to tell you something. I didn't even know Clue was on a podcast till Sean sent me this clip. And that's what I mean about people chasing for clout. Because it ain't just Jim really that's chasing for clout, guys. When the last time Clue been relevant? That's what I'm saying. Like, do you understand? See, this is how it works. See, now he's super successful beyond all of their imaginations. You see, they loved it when he didn't have a lot of money. They were down with him when he didn't have a lot of money. He wasn't no threat when he didn't have a lot of money. Now he got more money than all of them combined. And so it does seem like a little like, you know, ganging up on the guy. But they're ganging up on the guy because they can't compete with the guy. That's the thing that I'm trying to get people to understand. It's like, oh no, look at the people. It's like Clue. When I saw Clue, I was like, first of all, I've seen Clue with gray hair. It's like, first of all, you airbrushed all your shit. I've seen you with gray hair, nigga. Your shit is airbrushed. You sitting up here trying to look like you 25 still.
He was balding on backstage.
Right. That's what I'm saying. 20 years ago.
Are you
nigga.
balding in 1999, bro? What's going on with you, man?
Well, real quick, let's get these last two super
we got more super chats?
Yeah, we got Deuce right here.
Appreciate you, bro.
Where Deuce at? Nas is the greatest. I don't care what anyone says. Illmatic alone. Then has a 2 series recently. Knock it off. Well, that's what I'm saying. He is the greatest. But look at all these shows that they're trying to slow Nas from making the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If you're telling me that there's an agenda to prevent him from something, like, because here's the thing. I feel like there was always an agenda initiated by Jay to make sure that Nas didn't get the same radio play, get the same markets, get the same thing. Payola, try to freeze Nas out of certain markets, try to make it seem like Nas shit wasn't popping, say little slick shit that maybe the average rap fan don't catch. It's like, oh no, I'm catching all of that. I'm down with all that. I still remember that vibe. It was written, that shit gonna stick in my mind for the rest of my life.
I remember whose wife that was running Vibe at the time. That was Elliot Wilson's wife.
That's Elliot Wilson's wife, who's a better journalist than him. That's what I mean. It came from a credible source. It came from a more credible source than him. Like, she's the writer in the family, not him. That's what I've been saying. That's what makes it more egregious. At least, how about this? If it was him, I wouldn't be as upset. It's like, well, I expect your Jay-Z bias ass to do that shit. I didn't know you were bringing it
Yeah.
in your house, though, nigga. You bought it in your house?
Yeah, and I just think what's happened is that that narrative has just become the narrative when it comes to him, and that's why they can't defend it. And Jim Jones, of all people, or any MC, 21 Savage, whoever, feel comfortable saying that because they just took the narrative to be a fact, and it's not. You know what I'm
So
saying?
who else did that? Simba, Tierra Whack. It's the same
Oh
thing
shit, forgot about
every
them.
few months.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why aren't you conditioned to understand what this is? Like, this is what I'm saying.
Oh
Okay,
no,
so here,
I'm fine. Like it's not
hold on,
like it's a
hold on,
real
hold
life.
on.
It's like who cares? You know what I'm saying? We've like within the context of hip hop, and we're having a discussion. Then of course we're gonna talk about it with the passion and within
Okay,
this. In reality, I don't.
let
It's
me ask you all.
irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna like the shit regardless.
Let me ask you all something legitimately. Unless the other guy from Brooklyn's being mentioned, most people tend to think, or I mean, I guess what Kendrick is doing now might make people from his era feel that way. But outside of like some Kendrick and Jay-Z talk, isn't most like by his peers, he's the guy now. Like, because his peers say it in spades. 50 says it, Face says it, Ghost, Ray.
Yeah,
Like,
golden child.
yeah, as far as the peer group is concerned, he's the greatest. As far as the albums, he's the greatest. As far as the bars, he's the greatest. Like he's the greatest in a lot of respects. And so I'm saying that's what I mean is it's like, well, this media thing is probably gonna die this way, guys. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's been going on the entirety of the time. That's what I'm saying. Is it's like, oh no, I just got done being the main person fighting it for the last 4 5 years, and these niggas still pulling this shit. This is
Right.
just
I always compare Nas to Tesla, right?
this is
Nikolai
how the game.
Tesla,
This is how
where
the game goes,
where
though, guys. No matter how hard we fight, is what I'm saying. The game
Right,
gonna
right. No, exactly. That's what, like, me personally, just in the real world scheme of things, it is what it is, right? Like, Nas took that approach. When everybody was trying to jump on Budweiser commercials and do all these things, he was talking about hip hop is dead. On Untitled, he said, fuck y'all, I can go gold with it. He has already like that's the pros and the cons that come with being a true artist. Just like Tesla gets revered as the most important scientist and all that stuff, but Edison gets all the praise because he did all the patents and everything. But all the people know who
Tesla's
Tesla
really the
was
genius.
is exactly
Yeah,
right.
Tesla's the
But
genius. Edison's a thief.
right, and I think what's happened is that because the narrative, because the mainstream was controlled for so long, and Nas didn't care either way to be a part of it. The man signed to Def Jam, knowing that the perception would be that he was going under Jay, even though he knew that that wasn't what it was. He didn't give a fuck that everybody else would still think that way. But the problem is that 20 years later, people still try to act like that's a legitimate narrative. So I do think with people like you, look, as a fan, I think you guys have done a great job. All the other pods, Rap Roundtable, all of them. I think that the grassroots podcasting is what's been able to even get us to a point where we're shining a light on this stuff and being able to have these conversations. You brought up Taj. Much respect to Taj. I remember when Magic 2 came out and she was in the station head running the fucking streams to try to get it to the 16K because it was so important to get those sales. I was in those station heads, right? So I mean, yeah. So it's easy in hindsight to talk about, man. Well, it's not. He's going to retire, all that stuff. But at the moment when this stuff is happening, we very much cared about what that commercial appeal or success or something like that was going to be, right? So it kind of works both ways. And I think what's
No,
happening is that the narrative, I think that there's still that media base that is starting to defend Nas more, but they still don't even know how much they're missing. And that's what this is really about. You get what I'm saying? Again, to your point, it ain't about Jim Jones. Who gives a fuck? It's about y'all are letting everybody else, y'all are letting him slide with this shit.
so how about this, LP? And I'm gonna hold myself accountable for it because maybe I should have been the one to stir the pot. Oh no, what I'm trying to say is that what I've learned from all of this is that it's okay to audit these circumstances and to check a clue. But what we really need to be doing as part of a core fan base really is being more proactive than reactive. And so when I'm speaking to potential retirement talk, that should be the fervor bubbling from within the fan base before all of this happened. Like, oh shit, like this Nas and DJ Premier album might be it. Like, we should be creating that narrative for it, like on a grassroots level, instead of waiting for something to catch our ire. There's different ways to be supportive of your favorite artist. And what I've noticed is that, and that's why I'm saying I'm gonna hold myself accountable for it too. Oh no, more reactionary than proactive. He's been off the scene musically outside of some guest appearances for 2 years. We just got 6 albums in a very short amount of time. He's doing an album with DJ Premier. It feels a little retirement ish. And so, has a core fan base, I think we should do a job of creating that type of narrative to create excitement for the music and the project. Because the thing about him, for most people who love him and think he's the greatest, oh, it relates right back to the music usually first. There's other things. There's the 96 fade, there's the record sales, there's all that. But it is about the music when it comes to this man first. And as a core fan base, I don't want us to get so lost in checking Clue or checking Jim Jones that we're not being proactive in promoting what could possibly be his last album. Like, we need to treat it like that. So all I'm really asking of you and the fan base and the Discord is all that. I don't have a problem with anything that you said or what you put down. You actually sound like me a few years ago. But let's create some narratives for him with the same fervor is what I've learned. Like, we don't do a good job in this fan base about creating
Right.
narratives that offset
Dog,
the narrative.
there's look, because Nas is enough to fill up a whole month worth of show, right? Because there's also the fan base is a problem because it's so splintered, right? He does have a youthful fan base who does appreciate Hit Boy and all them. Then you have a whole separate fan base that's very loud, that not that and only want the Premier shit. I think that DJ Premier is going to be the first
Like,
album that the
like
base across the board is going to be able to support. But I think even within the Nas fan base,
this
it's
is,
splintered, and there's
hold
they're not
on.
everybody's not on the same page.
Hold on, say it again. So that would be the problem that I have, not with what you're necessarily saying, but with the whole shit of it is like, well, can we get on the same fucking page? Like, how about this? If the fact that he just gave us 6 albums, quote unquote, past his prime, and all of those albums were like, the worst album is really good, and the best of it is classic stuff. If he's doing a whole album with DJ Premier, if we can't get on the same page now and promote it and
Right.
get what I'm saying, and that's my thing about the other narrative with the Jim Jones side, because I'm like, oh no, like, let's take all of that energy, all of that focus, and have a potential retirement party conversation that runs these numbers up like, hey, our favorite guy might be done. We need to go make sure everybody else is checking for it and make sure the numbers are higher than 20,000, 60,000. Like, if this is his send off, let's do the right thing by him and send him off the right way. Fuck what Jim Jones talking about. I want to send him off the right way. If this,
I think this is going to be that album that's going to be the closest to getting the full Nas fan base behind it, because it is with DJ
right,
Premier. Because you got
right.
so many of the old heads that they only want Nas from a certain era, and they don't appreciate Hit Boy's run, which I think is fucking crazy. I think the music in itself is dope, regardless of who made it. Right? I think if you said DJ Premier produced Magic, if you just said Premier did it, they would have loved it. All of them, all the Twitter heads, everybody would have been on board with that. So I feel like everything that you're speaking on, this is going to be the album that's closest going to get us to where the whole fan base is on board with it. But you also have the fan base that Magic 3 drops and it's not this and it's not that. And again, I don't. To me, I feel like I'm indifferent about it in a real world sense. Like, it is what it is. But I also think that that's what comes with being a legacy artist and being an artist that's done so much, because we see it in rock all the time. The U2 fan base, there's people that like a certain U2 sound that don't like the other ones. There's the same thing with Blink 182 or Red Hot Chili Peppers, and you'll have, they're not that. I want this, and you know what I mean. And like so, Nas is one of the only artists, probably the only artist in hip hop that's been able to generate the type of fan base and the type of music that's been so diverse over time, that you have pockets of fans that only want a specific sound coming from them. And I think Premiere album is the closest that we're going to get to everybody being on the same page about it. Because maybe the Nas, I think the Kanye album was one too, but it was just, it was trash execution. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like since then, the Premiere album is the closest to kind of getting close to what you're saying. I think across the board, when they drop the album, is going to be the most Nas or whatever fucking shit that we're going to see as far as Nas fans getting behind them on that.
Well, if we're moving on to new things, the only new things that we got, that's imminent on the horizon is this feature coming up. So, and in this feature on the Clipse album, he talks very much about his legacy, right? You know what I mean? The snippet that we heard, he's talking about what he's done for the game. So, who has heard the snippet?
Yo, hold up. We got one more super chat. One more super chat.
Nas music is at levels you smoke a cigar instead of a blunt. I believe I agree.
I'm getting
Let me,
high, bro.
yo, let me
To
answer.
each his own.
Yo, let me answer that question,
Smoking
AG.
a mini cigar right now. These are cigar minis.
That's
I
it.
wanted I wanted all of you guys to get your points off because this is a passionate conversation to have because we all have a high level of appreciation for Nas. And I really feel that this conversation was needed. But I just want to put my piece on it so I can answer AG's question because I think it leads into AG's question more than anything else. The thing is, this is not about Jim. And that's why when I put in the title head or put in the actual headers, Jim versus his imagination, because it's not Jim versus Nas. It's Jim versus the imagination that people are giving him. These young heads are giving him that, and they're talking about fashion. They're talking about his influence when it comes to fashion, and not so much as the music. The thing is, fellas, Coop, I get exactly where you're coming from. I get where all of you guys are coming from because all things can be true. Nas and Jim should not be spoken in the same sentence, in no capacity, on no platform, in no forum.
Epa!
But that's not the bigger problem. The bigger problem is you got the hip hop heads who have the platforms that are not checking that at the front door. They're giving him an opportunity to speak ill on someone that they hold high, someone that they feel is one of the best for them. And I'm talking about Jada. I'm talking about Joe. I'm talking about Clue, who's from Queens. I'm talking about Esso, who knows hip hop. I'm talking about these other
He's from
platforms
Queens too.
from Queens too. So he knows what it is. And those are the ones to me that has somewhat failed the hip hop community, if you will. Because this generation, this era doesn't know Nas as much as we know Nas. We grew up with that. Think about it. We came up in 91, we were like what 10 and 11. You like what 8 or 7, right? So we grew pause with Nas and his discography. We understood what Illmatic meant to us. We understood what It Was Written meant to us, what I Am meant to us. We understood the battle. We understood the legacy. We saw the low points, if you will, with Nostradamus. We saw the rescinding of the high points where he regained his steps and took on one of the biggest artists of hip hop, period. We've seen those things. We remember when he was mentioned amongst the greats, the kings of Big, of Pac. We remember those things because we were there in real time. We consumed that in real time. Pause. But now this generation and hip hop community do a poor job by teaching the youth. They do a poor job by bringing them up. Our OGs, our uncles, our cousins, our older cousins, they told us about Rakim. They told us about Kane. They made us appreciate those guys because they knew how important that part of hip hop was for us growing up. Jim is 3 years younger than Nas. So he's not like 10, 15 plus years younger. It's not like he's looking up to Nas from that perspective. He's only 3 years removed from Nas. But
He looks 20 years older.
Facts, but he's using it as a catalyst to say, I'm more connected to these 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds. Like that's a thing. And it's not a thing. It's actually a sad thing because you're not bringing them up, not just, Jim doesn't have, let's be honest, Jim doesn't have an era. He doesn't have an era. Let's be clear with that. So he can't compartmentalize his era of hip hop and make it seem as if it's the thing. Hip hop has been ubiquitous since the actual inception of hip hop. It's everybody's thing. Everybody has an era. But what I'm saying is, fellas, and we can move on from this, is that the argument is not Jim versus Nas. The argument is hip hop versus Nas. The hip hop community versus Nas. The hip hop community versus all of the legends that we don't do the right thing by giving them what they need. This is a sad moment for hip hop because we're talking more about Jim Jones' viral moment because he want the viral moment versus, like Coop said, versus the things that we should be celebrating for Nas about to drop this joint with Preem.
So, Sean, if I just may real quick. First of all your points were excellent. That was like an excellent roundup and wrap up of the conversation. I feel like for this, because Sean, you spoke to something. You talk about growing up with his discography. Well, I feel like as a fan of a lot of guys, because I'm a fan of Nas, but I'm a fan of Jay. I'm a fan of Scarface.
Yeah.
I could go on and on with these guys. It seems this is the only fan base because I'm part of different fan bases. It's like I'm part of that Clipse fan base. You know what I mean? This is the only fan base that I'm a part of where it feels like they haven't enjoyed their time being a fan. And that's why I'm kind of taking a different approach this time around. Because to be a fan of Nas is actually to kind of constantly be at war with the media. And it feels like the factions that appear to always be against him. And I think he and his fan base deserve of time of just enjoyment. And I think this is the time because I don't know how time is left. Like that 6 album run, like we not getting that out of another rap artist at that age. And also too, we got to look at it. We was talking about how many shots he had left in the tank that he took when he made those projects, but he did take those shots, guys. He did take those shots. This does have a this does have a ending. It had a beginning. It has an ending, and I would like this fan base to enjoy it more and enjoy this time because I think that would be more enjoyable for him too to see that his fan base isn't in some sort of constant quibble and battle and fight with something and they're just enjoying what may be his final run. I think he might like that too.
I, like going back to what I said a bit earlier, I think that it's a situation where sometimes fans want more for you than you might want for yourself, right? Fonte talked about it, where a fan said, I want you to be the best, and he's like, dog, I don't care about being the best. Like that's what you want from me. So what happens with Nas is that I think a lot of his fan base, they want that for him. I think he wants that for him. He talks about it in his music. The issue is that he gets disrespected so much that the fan base feels like they have to defend him. I think that's across the board with any artist and any platform, whether it's wrestling,
Like
boxing, like they're any and look at Kobe right now. Like on a side note, look how they're treating Kobe and look how people feel like they got to defend Kobe because now you want to talk out of the side of your mouth because Kobe's gone and now all of a sudden T-Mac, who couldn't pick it out the first round, I was in Orlando, says he could have won like Kobe did. And now you have like I just think that when legends get disrespected and it's been happening for an extended period of time, the fan base by default is going to be defensive because you make them defensive. You get what I'm
okay,
saying?
so,
And then and real quick, just to show Jim Jones his appreciation too, right? I won't get beyond this point. Um, Jim Jones, like in my opinion, the first time that New York hip hop became local was in '06 when the South really took over and then Jim Jones and that Purple City gang, they ran the tri-state area, right? So where that big influence comes, I think I saw Jarvin there talk about maybe in Harlem they feel that way, that yeah, they were doing shows in Connecticut, they were doing shows in Boston. That influence that he had, it was a big deal, in Providence, Rhode Island. It just didn't expand to the rest of the states. So he has this perception of being bigger than what he is because he does get that love. Like that kid who's talking about him, he's from New Jersey. Of course, you might have feel that way about him because he was big locally in these areas. So I do at least want to shoot
like
Jim
okay,
Jones some bail on that.
okay, here's just a further perspective because Sean really, I feel like made a keystone point when you talk about growing up with an artist discography. So when we're talking about this fan base, and this is what I mean about how this fan base responses. And listen to what I'm about to say. You can't tell Snoop's fan base shit about Snoop. Snoop ain't made anything that I think was even an above average album since the Blue Carpet Treatment, which I think is a great album, by the way. I love the Blue Carpet Treatment. I think it's
I went
arguably,
back to it because of y'all, because I stopped listening to anything Snoop related, and it holds up very well. I think
yeah,
Snoop is starting to have an underrated catalog, actually.
his catalog is very underrated. But if anybody try to clown Snoop, his fan base will look at you sideways and just be like, he made the Chronic and Doggy Style. Like, like they treat the smoke that he gets like they're above the fray of it. And the Nas fans need to like take some of the page out of it. They be like, he made the Chronic and Doggy Style. Like, nigga, stop playing. Like, go somewhere else with that. Go somewhere else with that. And so some of the Nas fan base, instead of fighting the way that we fight, I've learned maybe need to be like, so he made Illmatic and it was written, right? Like, he was really the first New York nigga rapping with Dre for real. He wasn't just like saying that for real. Like, stop playing with me. Like, do you know your shit? Like sometimes we get too invested in it, and I don't see another all-time great artist fan base get invested into the argument. Now the slander is different too, but at some point it's like, well, we have to understand the slander exists and kind of like be like, he made Illmatic, shut the fuck up. He's still performing Illmatic because Illmatic's more important than every rap album ever made. All right, the end. The same way we talk about Doggy Style, Illmatic's in that same type of vein of rap album. It's like, well, it really don't matter if he didn't do anything else anyway. What the fuck is you talking about? It don't matter. Like, it didn't matter what Public Enemy did after they made It Takes a Nation of Millions. It didn't matter what NWA did after they made Straight Outta Compton. It didn't. It didn't matter what Dr. Dre did after he made The Chronic. It didn't matter what 50 did after he made Get Rich. DMX with It's Dark and Hell is Hot. We got to treat it that way. Be like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Next.
I think it's a give and take, because I think people have done that to the detriment of his career, right? Because they only say, well, he got Illmatic. What else? Everything else, right? Like, and I think
You've only got
that's
Doggy
happened.
Style. That's what I'm saying. People talk about it like it's not enough. Yes, it is.
Well, the thing is that Snoop has Doggy Style, and it's so much more than everything else that he can lean on Doggy Style, because everything else is like right here. He has a lot of shit with Illmatic, but somebody would say it was written, and then you got like all of that right there that gets dismissed. So again, even the people that were even in defense of Nas, they went back to Illmatic and it was written. So it's easy for Jomo or anybody else to be like, yeah, that was in '94. I was in high school. Well, again, going back to to what we were discussing earlier, that's the case now. In 2023, in 2024, in 2020, all these years in the 20s, it's been the same this decade. You don't got to go back 30 years. We can go back 3 years, and you're not touching that, you know? So I agree with you in the fan base shit, but at the same time, what other legend, and you know, people are talking about it in hip hop in general, about how we don't honor our legends, right? But name another MC that gets disrespected like this. I saw somebody say maybe Pac, possibly. Now you're starting to see more of disrespect for Pac. But name another MC that gets disrespected so much that the base feels like they need to. And then, to Nas's credit, name an MC that can cultivate the kind of passion out of his fans to want to defend him to this point. Because a lot of MCs, they're just going to let that shit go.
But this,
you know what I'm saying?
But this is also the other part of the fan base needs to understand. Oh, the MC has done an excellent job of defending himself, because everybody that has stepped up has caught the fucking fade. Right. Everybody that stepped is fade. Like people forget this. Like listen, his rap battle resume is undefeated, guys. That's the part of his catalog nobody talking about. Everybody that stepped to the microphone.
Well, I mean, it's the same way. Like Kobe won the rings, MJ won the rings, but then when it comes to the media debate, that's a whole separate department. Nas is never going to entertain that, right? So he's not. Him, Hove, they're not going to get on radio and defend their points.
Not to stray too far off, because I am one of those guys. Well, I ain't seen no Shaq playing with Mike for 3 rings, so it's like I'll be with some of the Kobe talk. So some of the Kobe talk is deserved. So like the Kobe talk is not as fair as people think. People forget. It's like no. He was playing with the best player in the league for the first 3 rings. So if you want to give him some smoke, he won 2 rings as the man. He got 5 rings, but he won 3 of those rings as the second best player.
Yeah, I mean, damn, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I'll give some context. There's some points that he scored where you had to be clutch. He went to 5 game 7s with Shaq.
He might have closed those games.
There was a few game 7s with Shaq that shouldn't have been game 7, and Kobe closed the deal.
No, super chats.
Okay. How about this? Shaq's finals numbers are actually better than Mike's. So stop that.
No, but Shaq ain't Mike.
Debate for another.
He's not Mike. But how about this? Shaq's finals numbers, that 3-peat, those are the best finals numbers ever. Like, period, for anybody. 35, 15, 50% from the floor, 3 blocks, 2 best numbers ever. Kobe was on those teams. We gonna do this all night. Nas said his dream was to do a Dre and Primo album. Of course, that's all of our dreams. That ain't just his dream,
right?
We wouldn't be here if there wasn't this going on. All right, next super chat. Is it up? Hold on, I can't see it yet.
Do y'all agree with Ebro's comments saying Nas has done more for hip hop than any other artist? I don't know, guys. Could be subjective, and I'm a Nas head, but it could be difficult to measure.
Yes, if you're talking about hip hop contributions as a whole, a collective, that's what I'm saying. Is like, Oh no, I'm pretty certain Slick Rick didn't fund this whole project that he just did. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, that's doing something for hip hop when a legend like Nas makes sure a legend like Slick Rick gets his grand finale album.
Yeah.
Like that's big for hip hop. So yeah, he's the guy.
Well, real quick, I agree with Ebro actually, as far as what he's done for hip hop from an artistic standpoint. There is the conversation for what Ho's been able to do to show us what hip hop can do and take it to those different levels, and Glastonbury and all these. There's all this shit that. So it depends. I think Rakim did a lot for hip hop with how you write, but I think as far as intentionally showing up for hip hop and doing the hip hop museum and the 50, I'll give it to Nas. And then real quick, I'm reading in the chat, y'all, and I see where um uh Double Barrel, I think he put a chat that maybe we skip.
Yeah, I got it right here. We got Deuce. I got all of them right here. I got a star by
You
it.
say because Nas is 100% a legend. Listen to Omatic, even M3. I think LP just read that one. Didn't
This is a different one.
This is a different one.
Okay. However, regardless of what you guys say, I believe his contributions are such that much after we are
Long gone.
gone, his contributions will never be forgotten, and that is the most important thing. Hey, Coop, what up? Do say, well, we are black. Y'all know how it goes.
Yo, shout out to Deuce.
Hey, shout out, Duce. Damn, well, hey, bro. What's up, man?
Okay,
Got it like that, huh?
Hey, do say. First of all, okay, don't let them catch you on the phone, do say. I don't know what you're doing. All right, that's how they get you. These phones be talking for you, all right? You get you the Walmart.
Do say, man, you go ahead and take Sean to an IHOP, get him a lumberjack slam. You know, thank you for your service.
Get you a little Walmart special. Do say, get you a little prepaid. Get you a little prepaid. Tell your girl to go buy the prepaid too. You don't even want to be seen walking into Walmart like that. You on camera? Yeah, you are. You gotta watch that. Do say.
I'm just at Walmart.
Hip Hop Talks and Rap Roundtable covered this with more integrity than the major outlets. Salute to y'all and salute to all the super chat love. Yeah, we appreciate the super chat love.
Appreciate you, Double. Double be spending some fake money on super chats though. YouTube flagged him last time. I don't know what that A in front of the $5 looked like.
It's because Double Barrel's in Australia, dog.
The A,
you know
the
what
A
I'm
stand for almost.
Kangaroo chips.
The A stands for almost real money. Almost real money. What the A stand for?
Send $5 more so we can make sure.
007. LP came and cooked. Respect, bro.
No doubt, man. Queens get the money.
Hey, shout out, y'all. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Sean.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
Remember, do say stay off the phone. Hand-to-hand contact. All right.
Appreciate you, man.
Yo,
AG, take us home, man.
Oh, with what the feature joint that we were talking about?
Yeah, take us home, bro.
All right, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like bringing it up as far as new stuff that Nas got going on. There was a feature verse that leaked out that's upcoming on this Clipse album, which the rollout has been impeccable. But Nas is speaking very much to his legacy. Ironically enough, you know, on this verse, which this verse has been done before all this stuff unfolded. So, you know, I take it that everybody here has heard the verse, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, is not the full verse, but on that verse, it sounds, you know, pretty exciting, you know, what Nas is spitting on there. I don't know if it's going to be a verse of the year contender yet without hearing the whole verse, but it sounds like he's talking his talk on there. So I'm very much looking forward to that verse.
Man, this rollout is crazy. I mean, you got a Nas verse where he's talking that talk. You got a Stove God verse where he's talking his talk. You got Kendrick verse where he's going crazy. Man, this might be the best rollout I've seen in a long, long time. You got videos accompanied with it. AG Coop, I might have to end up reorganizing my duo list, man. Y'all had me on the Clipse before all of this happened. I may have to go back and take a look at it. If this album comes out the way it's projecting, we may have to have another conversation about where these guys actually where they're ranking. I'm not gonna lie.
Where you got him now?
I got him in top 5 duos of all time for sure. Definitely top 5.
As far as duos, you say?
Yeah,
Duos,
duos.
top 5? Yes, they are top
Yeah,
5.
yeah.
Definitely top 5.
I'll say line for line, lyric
Yeah.
for lyric. I might have them at 1 already, if not only behind Outkast. As far as line for
So
line,
so LP, that's my thing. As far as the MC craft is concerned, I only have them behind Outkast.
yeah.
And that's
Where
still
do y'all count Tribe as a duo?
Yes.
I mean, I do,
Okay.
but there's that whole shit about duos because Alicia, he, DJs like is Run DMC a duo? I think they're a duo. You know what I'm saying? But line for line, they're not fucking with Clipse like at all. And I love Tribe. Does Tribe make the better music? In my opinion, yeah.
Like how about this? On some rap shit, lyrically, Clipse are the best duo ever. If we're talking just lyrically
Yeah.
speaking, in terms of what your traditional lyrical East Coast explanations are, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what Outkast provides lyrically is different. I understand for people that are not from down here. Like Andre gets the respect, but Big Boy doesn't. Is what I'm saying.
And that's why I have them at 1 because I don't think that Big Boy gets enough respect for his pen. I
He does.
think Dre gets like 80% of the credit when Big Boy was really holding it down a lot of that time. And then the only reason I don't have Mob at 1 is because I just respectfully can't put Havoc on the same level
Oh, okay.
as
But I'm
as the
gonna
other
fight. I'm
ones.
gonna fight back with you on that, LP,
All right,
because
go ahead,
you
man.
supposed to be Queens get the money.
All right,
So
hey, all day, baby, but I got to be
if we're
objective,
if we're
man.
if we're talking about duos, it's all encompassing what they bring to the table. And I'll give you the lyrical argument that you and Coop talked about because Havoc would be the weak link in that. But Clip's whole career, they've had to rely on the likes of Pharrell and Kanye for their soundscapes, and then you got Havoc providing majority of the soundscape for the mob. So even what he lacks in lyrical prowess, he's making up for giving us some of the best production we've ever heard.
Hey, what I
Yeah,
would like.
I wouldn't put
Hold on,
Clips over.
hold on. What I would like to submit to both of you guys about why Outkast should be still ahead of Mob, though, is the fact that people forget they produce most of ATLians and Aquemini and Stankonia. They goddamn selves.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about against Clips, not
Oh,
Outkast.
against
Yeah,
Clips.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
and honestly,
sorry, little ATL bias. Sorry.
and okay, so my favorite duo ever is Mobb Deep. That's not even a question. Everything considered, the albums, the sound, my personal taste, I go with Mob. I'll even give Coop to your point. I'm going to give Havoc the extra credit because on Infamous, he got a lot of help from Tip for the most part in direction. But everything since then, it was only Havoc. We know with Cast, they still had organized, noise and all them. So it was a team of people. You did have live people playing the guitar. Havoc in them had to sample them guitars. So from degree of difficulty, I'm gonna shoot Havoc that bail over Outkast when it comes to the production side.
But what I will tell you is that the album that is considered to be their best album, Organized Noise, did not.
Which
Right?
one?
Aquemini.
They didn't do a criminal?
Organized Noise did 2 beats on Aquemini. I think.
I
Yeah,
love that shit too.
I'll say this: like, I think that's going to be the
Very
top
comparable.
three.
Hold on, real quick. That's very comparable to Q-Tip giving them give up the goods and drink away the pain, sir.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
I
the
don't.
top three, duos. Like, I think the Clips will make their stamp for the top three, and then I don't want to disrespect Tribe like that, but I think they would fall to 4 for me. But
Eesh.
See, this is an MC conversation, though. If we're talking catalog, this kind of reworks itself maybe a little
right,
bit. I have Outkast at 1 on guards,
right,
but if we're talking catalog, Tribe jumps over
Right.
Clip.
yeah, true.
I
But
got Tribe 1 or 2. If we're calling duos, I got Tribe at 2, and I might personally, albums wise, put them over Mob. Just personally for me,
and
even though their pen work
here's
isn't.
one that's a curveball. If you'll respect this because you're a fan of them just as much as I am. Little Brother rounds out my top 5.
Oh God,
Yes. Hey, cool, man.
no.
I need this fade, dog. What's up? What's up with Fonte, bro? I know you guys had LT. Look, I'm making it, bro. I'm on Hip Hop Talks. I might be on LT's next album. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'll do the
Hold on.
prayer.
First
You
of
know
all,
what I'm
LP,
saying?
real talk, LP. If you make LT's album and he don't send me a track so I can spit these bars, me and LP gonna have a problem in these streets if you make the album and I don't.
Yeah, my voice got taken off.
That's the first thing. First thing.
a verse
Sean,
that
nothing personal. Sean, nothing personal. You don't got no bars. Nothing
Yeah, I
personal.
got a tiger stripe scarf. You know what I'm saying? I'll figure
Yo,
it
that's
out.
wild.
You come out looking like Purple Rain. I'm gonna talk about you the
That,
same way.
yo, wow for that.
uh,
Let me ask y'all this real quick while we on the rollout for the Clipse album. Do y'all think that the Kendrick verse, like hearing the verse, majority of it, do you think it was worth all that was went through to hold on to it versus conceding? I know the principle, they should have stood on business. I get that. But hearing the verse, was it worth it? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I love the verse and I think it was worth everything they stood on for that feature.
um,
Mm,
I respect them standing on their ground about it and not having anybody change it or do whatever, and it helped them get out of the Def Jam deal. Def Jam is trash, dog. I'm
But
sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on with them, but it's horrible. And when I heard that they signed with Def Jam, I thought that was a bad deal. You know? Um, the verse, honestly, I've only listened to it once because I just want to wait for the album to come out. I see some of the breakdowns, the way that he's using Jen and every other word and all that. So
yes.
maybe, I mean, I think overall it's worth it. But as far as like lyrically and all that kind of stuff, it's hard for me to say. But I just respect that they didn't budge on it. You know?
I'm glad you brought up that Jen because first of all, when he was like pacing himself using the same template that the brothers, you know, that they laid out with the flow pattern, that was dope. That was cool. But when he switched gears and started going into the Jen flow pattern, you know, using the Jen prefix for all the words, he's done this before. And it lets me know that when he's on a track with Pusha T, that he understands the MC assignment. Because if you go
Yeah.
back to nostalgia, he uses the same thing with the 10 scheme. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nine
Nate, let
times out
me.
of 10, niggas don't pay
Yeah.
attention. And when tension's in the air, nines come with extensions. You know what I'm saying?
Just
Like he does the same thing, like, you
so
know what I'm saying, with his bar work.
AG, I'll ask you. I understand that the nostalgia verse, when they break it down, it was everything that they said it was with the breakdown and the math. Is the Gen stuff, the way that they're breaking down, actually what that is, or is it people just doing what they do with Kendrick's music, where they look for things that aren't there? And then also shout out to EPMD, of course. So
Oh yeah,
is
the
it really
EPMD's
like
dope
that?
word. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the verse is for real like that. It's not as good as the nostalgia verse, but I think the verse is for real like that.
Cool.
Okay.
How does it make you feel? Because you the Clipse guy. Like how does this make you feel?
so I'm a little worried because this isn't normally what they do. In all honesty, I've been waiting for you to ask. I'm not as excited as everybody else.
Oh shit, I gotta hear
What do
this.
you mean like this is not what they do?
You know, their proof is usually in the pudding. Like their features aren't get your attention features. It's this fits within the framework of this classic rap shit that we're trying to make. So they have a tendency to not overextend themselves. And not saying that the guest appearances aren't like big name guest appearances. This just feels a little bit more forced than organic with some of this, like they're trying to prove a point. Now, if they're trying to prove a point, here's what I hope. I hope the point that they prove with this album, when I listen to it, is that this is one of the top 10 rap groups of all time, because I'm not expecting this album to be better than Hell Hath No Fury. But I do expect it to be better till the casket drops and
Yeah.
somewhere comparable to Lord Willing, minus grinding, because grinding is something unto itself, has a rap song. Very few rap songs are. It's a hit song that is just as much of a street legend song that it is an actual hit record. It's rare when you hit a mark like that. So I feel like making an album comparable to Lord Willing and better than Till the Casket Drops gives them three really, really great albums. And the people that we just got done mentioning them with on some MC shit, well, they have all of that. And so I still feel like they need all of that. But they usually don't go get it this way. And so I've never seen them get it like this. And that's what makes me worry. But also, too, you got to update your formula. You got to adjust with the times. All this stuff sounds good. It doesn't sound epic to me. I am used to their shit sounding a little bit more epic. It
I
sounds
want
good.
I want to ask you something on that, Coop, about the production. Before I get to that, I will say I think that the features are organic to me because, you know, Push was supposed to have Nas on It's Almost Dry, but he didn't do the verse for like Hear Me Clearly. So that was a thing. So he's been chasing that Nas feature for a while. Kendrick, if they didn't collab already, I would say I agree on that point, but they have a history there. And so I think that was kind of organic. Plus, they have a common foe. It just is what it is.
No,
And
I mean,
Stove God, if they're thinking about people like who talks this Coke talk just as
Yeah,
good
who's
as
the
we
new
talk,
age?
no,
then
so
he's the
okay,
guy.
no, so that's what I mean about organic. No, the Clipse doing a song with Kendrick don't is not organic because the way the Clipse talk on their albums, Kendrick don't talk that way.
Oh, so you holding them up to Mr. Morale standards?
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Nostalgia is on Pusha T's album, and even
Mhm.
on Nostalgia, that is something that Kendrick took the dope game and metaphorized it. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's still talking the way Pusha talks. Kendrick don't talk the way the Clipse talk. Nas don't talk the way the Clipse talk. Stove does. Stove is the organic choice. The Kendrick and the Nas thing is the grabbing for the name, like he grabbed for Jay-Z for neck and wrist. Yes, it is that. Because think about this, guys. Name the rap album with Nas and Kendrick on it as a feature artist.
Yeah, I think Jay-Z and Pusha talk is very similar. I
It's
think their
similar.
talk is very similar.
It's similar, but what I'm saying is no. Drug Dealers Anonymous is organic. Neck and wrist is, oh no, let me put Jay right here so I
Yeah,
can make it move and make it make sense. This feels more like neck and wrist with the Nas and the Kendrick pull to me. And once again, and this is what I mean about name grabbing. Think about this. This is the artist that get Kendrick and Nas on the same album. That's a big fucking haul, guys.
Well,
That's a big
cool.
haul. And so a lot of expectations come with that because a lot of people who are not as familiar with them as we are paying attention because they got a Kendrick verse. They got a Nas verse. Who these guys again? Because some niggas still don't know.
yeah,
You know,
they like that though to me.
Coop, I think that like okay, like the same way that you talked about Nas earlier and how about he's gonna possibly retire, so we need to appreciate it. I think the Clips are treating this album like the last Clips album because I think that they had to do a lot just to get Malice back on board to even rap the way that he's rapping or to rap, period, which is why Pusha was able to have that solo run for a long time. I've been a Clips fan since the beginning. So I remember Until the Casket Drops, where they had Kanye on Like a Big Deal and Cameron, and
On
when they try to
Popeyes.
do this song with, yeah, with Carrie
Harry
Hilson,
Hilson.
and Pusha has always, you know, that's a misconception. People think that Pusha don't care about mainstream. He does care
He
because he's
does.
tried to do it on numerous occasions. So I think that Clips now, I think that they're fully playing the game. I think they want all their props, and I think that they're getting all the MCs on the album that they want for it. I think Jay's on the album. You got to prove me wrong that Jay's not
I
on there.
agree.
I think that Clips got all the artists that they want. To your point, maybe Kenny is for the name factor. Nas is a respect factor. Stove is the one cat talking that shit right now that also has a good melody, can sing the hook and dope rap. And I think Hove is the
Okay.
secret verse that they've been waiting on forever. Because if there's
Okay.
any MC that you're going to wait on, Pusha and Malice will wait on Hove, and or they'll wait on Andre 3000. Because I think
Okay.
Pusha said that he's been trying to get them for him. So you know, so I still think another
But
verse is
that's
coming.
okay. So
Tell
everything.
Pharrell to bring out release the flutes.
Hold on. So listen to what you're saying. Okay, let's run this now. So first of all, we're addressing the fact that at least on some rap shit, this is one of the 5 best duos ever, right? If we're just talking
Yeah.
like rap, one of the 5 best duos ever. We're also acknowledging the fact that they have a pretty impressive catalog between their mixtapes and their albums, and they do have a classic in Hell Hath No Fury. We're acknowledging all that, right?
And We Got It for Cheap. Volume 2 is a classic mixtape, top 5
I
mixtape
agree.
all time.
I agree. I love We Got It for Cheap Volume 2, the same way I love Trap or Die Volume 2. I actually like it better than Volume 1. So I agree with you on that. Pusha T has a classic in his pocket in Daytona, and has been one of the more prominent solo artists for his era, right? And so you're telling me that this duo is coming back together after 15 years. And with all of those things being said, with their classic material in tow, group, solo, verses, appearances, and who they are just on some rap shit, and they got an album coming out with Stove on it, and Kendrick on it, and Nas on it. What I'm worried about is the fact, and Pharrell is producing it, by the way. Oh no, if it's not album of the year, it's officially a disappointment. That's the part nobody's talking about. With all these things going on, they have put themselves in a position, well, this needs to be album of the year. And so if
Sounds
anything,
like it's shaping up to it though. It sounds like
Right.
it's going to be in the running.
yeah, no. See, that's what I'm saying. No. You do not get to tote around this rollout. You don't get I gotta be fair with them the way I'm fair with everybody else. You don't get to do this rollout. You don't get to tote out Kendrick at his peak. You don't get to tote Nas on what might be his grand finale run. You don't get to tote out a secret verse from Jay. You don't get to tote out a hook and a verse from the hottest guy in the streets on this dope talk the last few years. You don't get to do all that and it be anything other than album of the year.
What
No,
if
you
Nas
don't.
and Preem
And
got album of the year?
not might be. When we hear this album, because of all of those things, it needs to be the album of the year, and it needs to be clear. That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
what about if it's in a year where it would clearly be album of the year, but Nas and Preem drop album of the year?
Listen to what I'm saying. It needs to be better than the Nas and Preem album.
Okay.
Why?
Is that what? Right. I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
I don't think it's connected, but that don't even add up. If you're saying on one hand it needs to be better than Nas and Kareem, but then you say it might need to just add up to Lord Willing,
because they've got more at their disposal.
But Lord Willing wouldn't be the album of the year, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, Lord Willing standard wouldn't make album of the year right now.
Yeah, well, there ain't no album that came out better than Lord Willing this year. What y'all been listening to?
But that bar is not a very high bar.
Yeah, so far this year been pretty bad.
I mean, true, but Lord Willing is not a high bar, is what I'm saying.
No, but in today's climate it is. That's why I'm saying Lord Willing would be runaway album of the year right now. What are we talking about? Like Runaway right now. Runaway. There's not an album that came out that's as good as Lord Willing. Like not even close. Like the first 6-7 tracks on Lord Willing.
But I mean, for what's like you said, it has to be. But if it's only Lord Willing level, you got Nas and Premier on the horizon. You got Alfredo 2 on the horizon. I don't know about the fall off, but Joint Stack could easily leapfrog a Lord Willing level album. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because Cole. What the fuck is up with him? He needs to drop an album this year.
Okay, so y'all are telling me that Nas is on this album, Kendrick's on this album, Jay might be on this album, Stove's on this album. This is lyrically to you, LP, the #1 duo of all time. AG for you 2 or 3, and you're telling me that the Nas Preem album is supposed to be better and the Alfredo 2 is supposed to be better? No, it's not. Not with everything that we just said, and Pharrell's producing it, and to add fuel to the fire, Pusha T is running around talking about, well, Chad really didn't do no beats for Hell Hath No Fury like that. Let's fucking see then.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. Let's stay right there because that's what I was going to. Let's stay right there because let's get off the Nas and Preem comparison or whatever because like it don't make no sense to even compare it to that. But like. So the Hell Hath No Fury thing from the New York Times article, that was the biggest thing that I pulled from that because I didn't know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's listed.
I don't believe that.
Well, I fact checked it. I fact checked it though. I fact checked it because I was like, wow, that's like groundbreaking news because it says like on the correct, the album's produced by the Neptunes, but you go under the production credits for every song. There's no Chad Hugo listing for the writer producer credits because producers get writers credits for song. You go at the other Clipse albums, Chad Hugo's name is in every song credit. So Pusha T is telling 100% factual truth. Chad is nowhere to be found on Hell Hath No Fury. I think they stamped it as Neptunes just off the strength of like that's family. But
it's Tribe does it.
Yeah, yes, because we thought that Ali was producing all that stuff when it was really Tip. You know what I mean? So I went and fact checked it. Chad is nowhere to be found on Hell Hath No Fury. So that makes me have more confidence about this album because my only reservation about the album was if Pharrell is doing this alone, then what is that going to sound like? But now that I got new information that he did their best album, Dolo, we good.
Real quick, Coop.
You mind if I just play devil's advocate to that for one brief second? First of all, I ain't never heard Pharrell's drums sound like the way that they sound on Hell Hath No Fury since Hell Hath No Fury. That's the #1 reason I don't believe that shit. But here's what I will tell you. If you're telling me he took tracks or skeletons of tracks that him and Chad had started working on and he finished them, I believe that because there's nothing musically that tells me that he made Hell Hath No Fury by himself. Like there's
especially with them feuding right now, don't you think legally he would come for his credits though if he did it? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's what I'm saying. So let's say somebody you know, ownership is a funny thing if the paperwork's not right, is what I'm saying. And so that's what I'm saying. Oh no, those could be skeletons of beats that they worked on together. Like Chad could have did a lot of those drums, and Pharrell could have went and finished them
But
up.
that's speculation. The credits say otherwise, man. Like the credits say. I mean, we don't need to talk about what probably is. We talk about what is.
I was following the rollout.
AG, if you think that something reads properly just because of credits, you missed my whole Glove interview where he broke down how that don't always happen.
Right.
So that being the credits don't make it the truth, and the Glove is proof that.
Coop
Because Glove is the one that got Dr. Dre to start doing what? Give people their
okay. Well, let me ask you this question: if they did that before and Chad got his credits all through Lord is Willing, why would they switch that up for Hell Hath No Fury? What sense does that make?
I mean, I could answer. I mean, I don't have an appropriate answer for that, but it's like, oh, Pharrell being on the credits ain't enough for me because I interviewed a guy that was like, oh no, I made this, I made that, I made that. It's like, oh, that's funny. It's not
that's Glove. But that's Glove though. Glove's situation doesn't have to be a copy and paste of Chad and Pharrell's situation.
So once again, back to the interview, he spoke to how that happens to a lot of people in the game. It's been an industry practice for a long time, so not unique unto the Glove. That's why I'm saying. Well, I'm speaking from the perspective of talking to a producer that hadn't got his credit, that is responsible for getting the greatest producer of all time to give people credit. So no, producers don't always be giving out credit. Kanye's good at it.
Well, the difference with the Glove is he's not contractually linked in a group like the Neptunes are a group.
And that's what I mean about paperwork being funny, because we really don't know what they group paperwork looked like. Because Pharrell was part of doing the whole thing with Teddy Riley and Rump Shaker, and that was kind of independent of Chad too. Pharrell is kind of operated always separately as his own entity, even when Chad was there. We don't know what that paperwork looked like as far as the Neptunes. The Neptunes paperwork rise could really be Pharrell.
Well, okay,
it could only be Chad and Pharrell musically and not paperwork wise, guys. I mean, not to be funny, y'all watched me work on a whole podcast that you thought I had co-ownership of, but the paperwork said differently.
Well, the only thing is that I was following the rollout for Hell Hath No Fury back then, and so I thought it was common knowledge that Pharrell did that whole album by himself, and not from reading the back of the booklet and all that shit. They said it then, so it's hard to find the XXL magazines and all that now. Remember, a good amount of those beats on Hell Have No Fury was supposed to go to Foxy Brown, and the first time that Jay-Z heard Mr. Me Too and Wham was after Pusha took them. So I remember back then, Pharrell being the one where they said Pharrell produced all this by himself. And actually, I was on the Discord with Jack or a few of them, and I even brought that up then. Like, yo, from my understanding of it, Pharrell did everything on his own until I went to the credits and I saw Neptune, so I just left it alone. But
when you bring up Jack, you lose credibility, LP. Don't do that. You were going good. You were cooking.
No, but when you go song for song, it don't say Chad, but it just says, you look it up, it says song produced by the Neptunes. But if you look on every song, it has the writers and producer credits by name. Chad's name is nowhere found in any credit anywhere.
Right. And so
I might be in the minority because that wasn't common knowledge for me. So
I think I'm in the minority because it's news to everybody else. So I think it corroborates with what you're saying because I heard it and I remember it just from reading a magazine standpoint or being on a XXL standpoint kind of deal. It wasn't something that I checked the back of the booklet at the time to figure out. So you saying that and Pusha saying that, to me, it only confirms what the noise was back then. Because Pusha said it now.
And not for nothing, that New York Times interview was fantastic. Those guys did a good job. Let's call it what it is. You want to talk about journalism, Coop? Them guys did a great job.
John brought up a good question. Who owns the Neptune's name?
Truthfully, I love the questions more than I love the responses, if you really want to know the truth. Okay, so my only quibble with the whole Pharrell thing is, one, first of all, Pharrell's always been the melody and the hook guy, so he writes most of these hooks. Hence the writer credit. He actually is writing these hooks, especially on Hell Hath No Fury. You can tell from the melodies, Mr. Me Too, Ain't Ya, Trill, like all of that is Pharrell. Pharrell's a hook guy and a melody guy.
Nightmares.
Yeah, Nightmares. All that's Pharrell.
Yeah.
So when we're reading the credits about that, it's like, no, I do understand that part of that. The part of me that just makes me wonder this is that, well, he's never made something so wonderfully masterful before or since, beat-wise or production-wise. That's the part that makes it hard to believe. It's not that I don't want to believe what Pusha's saying or Pharrell is saying. It is just like the proof is usually in the music. And it's like, nah, your shit ain't sounded that good since then. Even when you've been working with these guys again, it hasn't sounded like this. So you telling me you just blacked out in that one zone that one time and you cannot return to that place since?
I mean,
I think a lot of producers have done that though.
Pete Rock with
Not
Made
all-time great
Ingredient.
ones. Nope, not all-time
Well,
great ones.
Pete Rock with Made Ingredient hasn't touched that since. Premiere at Moment of Truth hasn't done it
Hold
since.
on,
Swiss
hold on.
Beats with
But they
Flesh of My
had
Flesh,
stuff
Blood of My
before.
Blood.
They had stuff before.
True.
Well, I mean, Swiss case. So those other guys had stuff before. That's what I'm saying. It is like, oh no, how about this? Even if Gangstar don't make the Moment of Truth, it's like, no, Preem got enough with Gangstar.
So you don't
Like,
think that Pharrell had enough before Hell had? Or maybe, what if it's just the direction and we just weren't expecting that sound from him
how
because we're
about
used to
this?
hearing this from him?
How about this? I think so much of Hell Have No Fury's production, I think it is very RZA Purple Tape, like in terms of how
Yeah.
it is put together to fit the artist perfectly. Like not just the beats are dope, but they fit the artists that they're made for. And so if you're telling me that he did that by himself, oh shit, I need to bump him up like 5 notches on my list. No bullshit.
Well, cool. What do you think of
To be
Brambleton?
fair, I know you said he didn't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where was that
Now
at
I
since
want to
then?
do more research because that's one
But
of my favorite albums.
but what else? Like, it's not a whole lot of stuff that he's produced from end to end since Hell Hath No Fury. They even have a sample size to say you haven't did that because the clips were
well, if he's better in that form, he should have been making these full Clipse albums like this for the past 15
because you got
years.
Till the
We have a
Casket drops
conversation.
and then nothing since then in the past like 16 years. You know what I'm saying? And then like, you know, it's not like he was doing full hip hop albums for anybody to do a 1-to-1 comparison and say, okay, that's not what you did on Hell Hath No Fury.
How
So
about
is he?
this
Push's
information
last
makes me more
album.
excited for the album because now I am more excited about him potentially taking on this full task by himself with them because it lets me know he's done successfully before with them.
What do you think about Pharrell's production on Almost Dry?
It's better than Kanye's, but that's
Yes,
not
his half is better than Kanye's half.
that's not
So
saying
that's kind of been the vein of see the good Pusha knows what to get
Brambleton
out of
is
his producers. Kanye never made a Daytona for anybody else except for Pusha. Pusha never Pharrell never did Hell Has for anybody but him. So
respectfully, like Brambleton and Let the Smoker Shine the Coop are my 2 favorite songs.
right.
Brambleton is crazy.
That's
To start that off like that.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm
I love
saying.
that song.
And that surprised me because Kanye coming off Daytona for him before, I thought that they would have better chemistry, like currently, like not currently, but for that time coming off of
How about
Daytona.
this? When we heard Till It's Almost Dry, we should have known something was going on with Kanye and Pusha right then, and we should have called it then.
Yeah.
Because the disconnect is evident now when you listen to the music. But here's what I was about to say. As much as I love Brambleton and Let the Smoker Shine the Coop, I'm not even sure if those records production-wise are good enough to make Hell Hath No Fury. So I still stand where I kind of stand. It's like, oh no, that was the best that he gave Pusha Until It's Almost Dry. That's not Hell Hath No Fury.
He might have just caught lightning in a bottle on Hell Hath No Fury, man. Like a lot of stuff is hard to recreate.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If Brambleton and Let the Smoker Shine in the Coop production-wise is the level, it's like, respectfully, make up with Chad, please. Okay. Yeah, just like that. If that's the level that you're giving this Clipse album, if Let the Smoker Shine the Coop and Brambleton is production wise, how this Clipse album is going to sound, it's not going to be album of the year. That's not good.
I think Chains of Whip sounds better than either one of those.
I agree. Production wise, I agree. The beat is better.
Like Clipse, their albums have the same sonics, right? I hate using that fucking word, man, but it is what it is.
Shout out to Jack. That's Jack's favorite word, sonics.
Once again,
they're competing for the fucking term, dog.
Giving Jack credit. You lose credit on Hip Hop Talks when you give Jack credit. That's mine.
We're gonna give it to Denny on that one, man. Shout out to everybody in all the pods and all the spaces. But Lord Willins sounds like Lord Willins. Hip hop, Hell Hath sounds. The whole album goes across that way. When you go to Till the Casket Drops, it all pretty much sounds the same. From what I've heard from the Clipse recent album, it all has similar sonics. Even that NAS, it all kind of feels like this. Like there's enough space, but it's spacey to me. You know what I mean? So I feel like I feel like what we've heard is we're gonna get a ton of renditions of that with some flips in between. You know what I mean?
You know what I want to hear? and this might not be reserved for Clipse and their kind of talk or whatever, but I want to hear the Clipse present day on something like a Excuse Me Miss Part 2 or La 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 track. That's what I want to hear. That's one of my favorite Pharrell joints.
Nah,
I want to hear Clipse on that.
We gotta move away from that.
You know, honestly,
Nah,
I
man.
think that's what fucked up. I feel like that's what fucked up till the casket drops. I feel like until the casket drops, they tried. I feel like they were like,
So
we're gonna try to do this. And Kerry Hilson and all that kind of stuff. I think they went for that. They swung and missed, and then they kind of splintered from
I
that
like
point.
that though.
So how about this? Here's how I feel. I feel like till the
I
casket
mean,
drop.
I'm not mad at the album. You know,
How about this? I feel like till the casket drop is really Pusha T's low key first real solo album, and his brother is just there to fill the gaps while he.
You could tell he
I
was
feel the
not.
same way.
He said
He was not. His heart wasn't
Everything he was
into it
talking
on that.
about.
Yeah, he said it in the interview. He said his heart wasn't there. He said even after all of that was done.
Like the last part of the album to me is Pusha T trying to like transition into some mainstream stardom.
Right. He was trying
Yeah,
to
I mean, Malice is talking about go-karts for the kids.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but not for nothing. Not for nothing.
You know what I'm
Popeyes is
saying?
my
Like,
favorite
yeah.
Cam feature though. Like easily.
Popeyes.
Yeah, yo, that beat is wild. That was
That
Pharrell
beat,
too.
that's what. How about that? If the beat sound like that, that's the level that I'm talking about. That's some Hell Hath Fury level shit. That Pusha T verse, my favorite verse on that album. Like that's what I mean. How about
that's
this?
my favorite Clip song actually. Popeyes all the way around.
How about this? There are some beats that are on Till the Casket Drops. Doorman, Never Will It Stop. Yeah, that's what I wanna hear. Give me that. Like if the production is gonna sound like that, give me that. Don't give me Let the Smoker Shine.
You know what? You fucked me up, Coop, because I got nightmares stuck in my head. And that's how you know that there's fucking levels to this shit. Because I got nightmare, it's just ringing off in my fucking head, man. That's how you know. Yeah. I really hope that we get something close to
That's what I mean.
I don't think it has to be the same sound, but I really like. I'm a fan of the Clipse. You know, like anybody that I'm a fan of, I root for them. You know, so I really hope that they do everything that you want them to do. You know, and I have no reason to, based off what I'm hearing, to think otherwise.
Based on what y'all want, though, like it's a song that leaked it's right before the Nas snippet song. It's a different song, but the beat on that sounds crazy.
I was gonna ask you, okay, so is that a beat flip of the same song, or did
I don't
LeBron
think
leak
so.
two different songs?
I think it's a beat flip.
Go ahead, Sean.
I think it's a beat flip because
really?
I
thought it was two different songs. Okay.
I think it's a flip.
I think it's a flip.
It didn't sound smooth though. The transition didn't sound smooth.
I mean, also too, the engineering's not done. Yep. Right. Say it again. The engineering's done.
Okay. Finished work right now.
Well, that first beat was crazy. That first beat was better than the one Nas I'm doing.
I'll never forget this. First of all, I was at the original Donda show. It's like, oh no, that ain't how the album sounded when it came out. The shit he performed that night was better.
Yep.
Yeah,
like,
that's Kanye.
Well, Kanye known for tweaking stuff like all day, every day.
Yeah, he's known for tweaking.
Because what if Pharrell is using Hit Boy's formula just for that Nas verse to flip the beat?
Yeah, I think this is very much this is very much a Pharrell album as it is Clipse. I think they're all moving in the same direction of we gotta like the same way again going back to Nas and Preem. I feel like they both equally it's Pharrell's album in his mind as much as it is the Clipse album, and I think that he's trying to give them everything that he thinks the Clipse needs to be that. You know what I mean? Like
I feel you, but that's
like
part of the
LL
problem.
and Q-Tip. You know what I mean? In what way?
That was one of my favorite albums last year. But I think that's part of the problem because, like they alluded to in the New York Times interview, everything about the Clipse has been like association with other people whose names is bigger than theirs, like the Pharrells, the Kanye's, Drake.
So you know, what if this album? Let's just say, how about this? Let's just say this album is better. First of all, I don't think they're reaching Hell Hath No Fury level.
I don't expect that. No.
I don't expect that to happen. So let's say this ends up being their second best album. Do you know what the talk is going to be if this is their second best album? It's the Kendrick feature. It's the Nas feature. It's Pharrell's production. It's the surprise J feature. Oh my God, it's Stove. We got the streets on fire. That's why it's like, oh no, I don't love it for them because even if it is album of the year.
You know what?
so much of the credit is going to be attributed to other people instead of them. That's why I don't love it the way everybody else.
Well, that's what features are supposed to do to a degree. But I will say this, Coop, though. I see what you're saying, but I think the strength of this album, and I've said this a couple shows ago, is going to be predicated on Malice's performance. I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that, bro.
You read my mind because I was thinking about that. Again, we were talking about till the casket drop. My only concern was like not even Malice's wordplay. It's like his flow is off sometimes.
Yeah,
like
he's sounding sharp.
Yeah, he sounded crazy. Look, I get it, but at the same time, how far would a rap group like the Clipse go if they weren't with the Pharrell or a Kanye rapping about what they're rapping over the type of production that they want to make? So for me, I look at it like, yo, man, if you had the gravy train production wise all the way up, and this is the type of music you chose to make, and it worked out for you, and that's how we got to know you, then I'm all for it too. Because how many MCs don't even got that? You know, we're looking at a Stove God. Stove God can't even get out of his slave deal to make his own shit. You know what I'm saying? So anytime real MCs and cats that are really rapping can use a Pharrell or a Kanye or whoever to get their shit off, then especially with this first quarter of the year, all of last year, the fact that the Clipse is even, I see the chat, they're talking about the Clipse possibly doing 100K, 80K, 200. Man, that's love. I don't care how they get it. Yeah, that's crazy.
No.
Use your resources. Yeah.
No, you're supposed to use your resources, but it does matter how you get it. Like it does matter how you get it. Like all rings ain't weighed the same. Like we just talked about KD earlier, where people look at KD a certain type of way because they don't look at his 2 rings the way they look at Akeem's 2 rings. Right. Bingo. So it's not the same. So it ain't about just crossing the finish line. No, the rings get weighted differently. That like part of the reason why I love Hell Hath No Fury so much is that I'm very clear that is one of the best production jobs I've ever heard, and they equated it with their mic performance. The mic performance is just as good as the production job.
Yeah.
So if the talk of this album turns out to be the production and the guest appearances, no, I don't love that for them.
And who knows? I think that Malice is getting all the shine right now. Outside of Push's TV line, you know, Malice has been.
I mean, so how about this?
And let's not forget, he's 52 years old. He's 52.
So also too, hold on, let's not and I say this respectfully, and he's my favorite guy. Oh, when the last time Pusha T was rapping on a regular basis? Because it ain't enough for Malice to sound good. See, we're under this conditioned thought because Push been so active, literally the entirety of his career. No, Push is coming off the first break of his career. Malice been on break, but this Push's first break too. He needs to sound sharp too. Let's not put this all on Malice. No, Pusha. Like
I think the Malice break is overstated because he was making music, but he wasn't just making like quote unquote secular music. Rap. So people act like that he was taking the whole time off. But Malice was still very sharp during his time away.
So how about this?
No Malice album.
So history has taught us when our favorite rappers take a 4 or 5 year break, the results usually ain't what we want. See Rakim, see Nas, see Kendrick. Right. So that's why I'm saying this album really more about Pusha than people realize.
Well, when did Almost Dry drop?
That was 22.
That was 22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This is Pusha's longest break, guys. Like people ain't talking about part of it. It's
I mean, I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all. Pusha's also in my personal top as far as who I look forward to listening to.
Me too. But how many verses have you heard the last 3 years, sir?
Right. No, I'm with you. I really hope that Pusha can get back to his pocket that he was in 05, 06, 07, re-up gang era raps. I think he dumbed it down when he got with Kanye. So a lot of the rapping that he's done outside of Daytona to me has been like Pusha here. Normally, I think he brought it down here because he's playing the game. So I would hope that Malice brings out the rapping ass Pusha. Even though I'm getting a lot of Biggie Pusha. You know how Pusha will get in his Biggie bag?
I like Biggie Pusha.
Yeah, that just sounds wild, like Anita pause. But it was
say anything. It
was kind of
that does not need a pause.
It does. But I, to your point, LP, I think I get what you're saying because that collab that Swizz Beatz had with Jada and Pusha, it was dope, but it was kind of like underwhelming to the point where nobody talked about it afterwards. Like, you know, Pusha was rhyming like he was dope on there. but he wasn't rhyming on the level that we're used to. And Jadakiss neither, for
How
that
about
matter.
this?
Best I
want to
hear
see.
Pusha
How about
rapping is
this?
on Freddie Gibbs stuff. Honestly,
Yes, that's exactly what I'm about to say. No, I want to hear Pusha T. The Pusha T that's on Paul Olive.
Yes.
That's the guy that we need to hear. The Pusha T that's on Paul Olive. The Pusha T that's on Gold Rings. On the Freddie LP.
yeah,
The guy
yeah.
that's on Gibbs shit is the guy that need to show up for this album. Yep, that's the guy. Like, because when he's like that, I'm sorry that. Okay, so he excites me just as much as Jay because it just feels more evil when he's doing it. It's like it's something devious about it. I took a risk. I took a brick. Took a road trip to a Motel 6. Get it
L6.
wholesale, and you know I won't tell shit. Ride coattails, then he
Yeah.
really that lit. Just another in the mix, nigga. I'm rich, nigga. Tell me, is you Alpo or Mitch, nigga?
Which nigga?
That's the guy.
Yeah. No, seriously. I'm the best since he died and he lied. The spirit of competition, one verse can start jihad. CPR pushing, the flow tends to revive. Pulling the
Yeah,
covers
that's it.
back, I
That's it.
expose what you this guy. Come on, man.
My
Like
presence
we
felt
gotta
the
put
pressure is
I
warm.
think I think Pusha, he gets unnecessary shade because I think that a fan base doesn't appreciate all the writing that he's done in the past, and I think that people respect his pen, but I don't think he gets enough credit, dog. I think that especially we got it for cheap Pusha. I got more white in the hood than the KKK. I
Yeah,
sell nose candy Willy Wonka. He was doing that in '05.
yeah.
That's what Wayne did. That whole Big Sean argument about that word association, sheriff badge, all that stuff. Pusha was doing that in '05. I really hope he gets in that bag on this Clipse album. And I get it. Pusha, he's learned to make the songs, right? Pusha's kind of like Jada in the sense where you just want Jada to go off, but on his albums, he's trying to make that song. Like he gets back into his bad boy shit where he like I got to make an album the way that we made him with Bad Boy.
Exactly.
So I hope that he gets away from that on this album. I hope he goes straight
But,
rap.
but to that point, I think having Malice on that other side and know what Malice is about to do, if you listen to that interview, he has so much respect for Malice. And we already knew that, right? We already know that he had a lot of respect for Malice. But to bring his brother back into the booth, Push should know the assignment at this point. He's going to go crazy because he's going to have to match Malice pen, but he's also going to have to match everything that Malice is going to bring to the table outside the pen, just Malice being there. Because he's been by himself with this Kanye freak show for quite some time.
Right.
And now his brother back in the studio with him. So I'm sure the focus is going to be there. I'm sure some of these songs are going to be kind of old. So I'm sure, Pharrell probably going to go back in the booth, tighten some things up, get them to do some things differently before it rolls out. And I mean, I think we're going to get the best version of Push, in my opinion.
Yeah, because that brings a level of comfortability, you know what I'm saying, with his brother being there that he hasn't had in a while. And from the New York Times interview, what I gathered is Pharrell might be low-key psycho when making an album. You know what I'm saying? And some of the best genius producers are like that. Kanye was very much like that. So, I think that's to their benefit in this case.
I mean, look,
So
Pharrell's interesting.
I guess a good way to wrap this convo and this show up would be okay. So right now, if we're ranking what we think the album of the year is going to be, I want you to give me what your top 5 choices are going to be based on who's supposed to come out in order. Like who you think about to make the album of the year.
All right, so 1 through 5 based on like projected albums is going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 1 Nas Preem, 2 Clipse. I'm gonna leave J. Cole out because we don't know that's coming. I'm gonna go 3 Raekwon, 4 Ghost right underneath him, and 5 I'm gonna say Banks is gonna stay at that. No. Sorry, Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo. Shit, I'm gonna jump up Freddie to number 3 and then put Ghost Ray at 4 and then Ghost at 5.
I'm gonna go Boldy, because you got like 10 more dropping before the end of the month. I'm not fucking around, man. I can't. So I'm gonna go with Nas and Preem, Clipse, Freddie, and I can't think of 2 other albums that are even dropping. I guess Ray and Ghost. I don't have faith. Oh, Joey. Okay, my bad. I'm gonna put Joey at 4.
Yes, I forgot about Joey. Joey
The
rapping
fifth
at
is
a
a
high
top
level.
up. It's a toss up pause because like I trust Ray way more with an album than I do Ghost right now. Ghost is scamming motherfuckers for crypto online and shit.
Do this,
Come on,
Ghost has
dog.
lost
Come
his
on, dog.
voice.
Come on,
You know,
dog.
I gotta keep it fucking. Hey,
this.
Ghost, I hope you're listening, dog. We real fans, man. Stop
Don't
it.
do
You're getting scammed, bro. But anyway,
this.
I gotta hear Supreme. Yo,
26.
Ghost, Susan. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I
So,
gotta hear Susan. You know, I gotta listen to the Supreme. Unfortunately, Ghost got to prove me that it's a classic. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, dog.
Yeah.
I want to give it to Ghost so bad. Pause, but I can't in good faith. You know what I'm saying
the
right now.
last album, you know what I'm saying, left a lot to be desired. So
We got to go
Yeah,
into details about that. We got to go into details about that.
yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
great question, Coop. I would say I got to go Nas and Queen. Queens get the money. I got to start there. I think I got to go with Clipse second, straight up and down. And I think that can go either way, honestly. Based on what we're hearing so far from the Clipse, I think that can go either way. Number 3, I mean, Coop, AG, y'all converted me, man. I may have to go with Freddie.
See.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Freddie is going to give us something else special. And if Andrew don't stop texting me about J. Cole, I'm not picking J. Cole, Andrew. Andrew, like, yo, do it. Just do it. Just say it. Like he's texting me, yo, Andrewski. I'm not doing it. So
Drewski.
Andrewski. I'm not saying J. Cole Andrewski because I don't want to get Coop amplified right now. I want to say Raekwon, fellas. I want to say Raekwon is going to be in there. And I
Yo,
will
real quick.
round it out. I got to keep faith in Ghost. I got to keep
So
faith.
we got the same 5 then, Sean. That's what I'm talking about.
I got to
Of
keep
course,
faith.
y'all
But
do.
Joey is a good pick, LP. Joey is a great pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Joey on that one. Y'all slept on 2000. It's a great album. Yo, here's my thing, man.
No, I love that.
I follow the pods, man. I'm a fan. There's 2 artists that 2 of my favorite podcasters talk about, and I don't see their names being mentioned. One we've heard a ton about. By default, Coop got to mention Cole, and Jarv got to mention Stove God. Jarv called Stove God a classic 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Preempted classic. What's going on with Stove God? If Stove God is dropping the album, I'll give him number 5. I
But he's
really
not
feel like when
dropping.
he drops,
He's not
that
dropping. He's not
that's
dropping.
crazy,
But we
man.
just talking about what's kind of confirmed to be on the slate, bro. He don't have nothing
That's
coming.
crazy. Wait, so Cole isn't on the slate? He said last year he got 2 classics ready to roll. Do we really believe that Cole's not going to drop an
He could have
album
been
this year?
talking about the 2 pots he had on the stove. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he might not even been talking about music. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I'm talking about Cole. Like he said it last year, he had him ready. I can't imagine that the fall off isn't dropping because I would give it to Cole.
It's not, and this is hurting Coop's feelings. So let's hear
The
what
fall
Coop.
off is going to turn into the wake up call. It's taking so long.
He should have dropped it after the podcast and all that promotion and stuff.
Everything.
And I think a lot of that, you know, when you are teasing an album for so long and you're making music continually during that time, the stuff that was originally supposed to be on the like fall off, you got to be disciplined to like probably put that on there at this point because it'll be old and sound dated to you. Like he's probably made joints that was for the album like maybe 5-6 years ago. You know what I mean? So he's kind of like in this weird cycle where he's probably like, you know, he's on his like 6th draft of the album, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
He's
Like,
overthinking
and
it.
he's probably his own worst enemy, and it may never come out to like late next year or something because he's probably redrafted. I think it was ready to go before the battle happened, and that battle threw him all the way off. Now he got to rethink his whole approach.
That's crazy. Good. Do you feel like it's okay? You know, us fans, we criticize Cole. We say you can't talk that shit no more. Do you think he subconsciously feels that way?
Yeah, I think he scrapped the whole album.
There's no way.
I can't talk that bad. I can't talk about killing MCs no more.
There's no way he doesn't feel that shit.
Right. I think he legit scrapped the whole album, word to everything. I think he had a lot of that talk on what was going to be the fall off. I think he scrapped a whole album. It might as well have been in RZA's Flood. That album's gone. Like he started making new joints, and that's what he's working on now.
Yeah. I think last year Coop would have said Cole, 3 Stacks, Glorilla,
Drake.
Get him, blow.
and LT. I moved LT out of my joint for a disagreement. So I'm not talking to LT right now. But
Malice definitely on LT
I
mixtape.
put LT
Book
like the
it.
number 10.
Yo, LT's mixtape's dope.
I just want to take my name off the mixtape for real though. Like take my verse off of that. I don't want my verse on there. You know what I mean?
I still want my feature.
I don't want my feature no more, LT.
Shout out to LT though, man.
Nah,
yo, let's bring it home, fellas.
Cool, you gave yours yet?
No. So I'm surprised at you guys. You have no evidence that DJ Premier and Nas are gonna make the album of the year other than their name.
Well, based on how you was talking about an hour and a half ago, we should have it number one.
No, I'm saying we should be kicking that shit like it's number one. Like we should, like I'm talking about fan base fervor. No, we should be kicking that shit. But objectively, what I would tell you is that, well, based on track record, guys, because this is a current game. I'm actually gonna put Freddie and Alfredo at number one on my list for Alfredo too, because he's actually the last guy of all the guys we've talked about to actually make a classic album with the producer that he's working with. Like Nas and Preem don't have any modern day classics together. Clipse and Pharrell don't have any modern day classics together. Freddie and Alchemist do, and so I'm gonna give them the nod about that. About Alfredo, I'm actually gonna tell you Freddie deserves to be number one on this list because also too, Freddie is currently on one of the best album runs of all time. That nobody is talking
absolutely.
about.
For everything Freddie puts out is great, but like in 2025, do you think that Alchemist production is getting a little bit redundant?
Okay, so you just put Nas and Preem at number one though, so I could ask you the same thing about the guy that you just gave number one slot to.
Preem ain't produced the album from end to end in years.
You're right, but the last time, but here's the thing: Alchemist has made classic albums in these years, in this decade. So, like you're talking about it sounding dated. Well, there's the possibility of
not dated in the sense of like outdated. I mean, like everything has been in the same wheelhouse. That's what I'm saying.
I get where you're coming from too.
I get what you're saying. No, I get exactly what AG's saying. It's like, oh no, it might be classic. It's gonna be a redundant classic. It's like, there's a possibility of that. But when I'm saying redundant classic, think more Purple Tape 2. It's like, oh no, it might be redundant, but it's gonna be redundant the way that you like. And all I'm saying is that Freddie and Al have proven in this era.
Mm-hmm.
That they can make a classic. They have proven that they can make a classic album in this era. So I think they deserve the nod over the greatest rapper of all time and arguably the greatest producer of all time, who still, for all the smoke and all the fervor, have never done a full-length project together until now.
Well, I hope Al brings that energy to the Mobb Deep album too.
Right. Well, because Freddie's proven to been able to make near classic or classic without Al.
Alchemist, yes.
I think Freddie's done better albums without Al than Al has done without him since Alfredo.
Okay,
there we go.
How about that? I think Freddie has made better songs on albums that are as good as Alfredo, but none of those albums feel like Alfredo feels. Alfredo feels like a classic rap album. Some of Freddie's classic shit, it just has so many classic songs on it. It's just like, well, this shit.
I give you that, but for me, I like Soul Separately Deluxe more than Alfredo.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. So if you look at the songs, so if you look at the songs, you actually have a valid point, AG, about liking Soul Separately, because if you just partition it song by song, Soul Separately might have better songs, but it don't come together and feel like Alfredo, because the feel for me is a big part of the album thing. And so Alfredo feels different than Bandana and Soul Separately and Pinata to me.
Yeah, and then Coop, to your point, going down your way of thinking, if what we're going to get is beat breaks and Define My Name, then I even more so agree with you. While I like those songs, beat breaks actually play way more. It's dope, man. But, there's levels. I also fuck with Define My Name, but I am expecting more from them than
that's fair.
As far as a body of work, could there be a Define My Name version? I mean, on there, something within that same 2-bar loop kind of feel with a little bit of scratches, because that's a Premier signature kind of production. Cool. But if we're going just based off of that,
meet the bar. Those didn't meet the bar.
Not for what we're expecting, or what we would want.
So respectfully, I tell you, I put Freddie at 1, Clipse at 2, Nas and Preem at 3. I will tell you, I'll put J. Cole at 4 still, even though it's probably never going to happen. I don't think like it's so funny to me. I don't think anybody ever stepping out of a battle has ruined their career the way that it is currently ruining his career.
Cole?
Yeah. Cole, yeah.
You don't got Iceman at number 5, Coop?
Iceman.
Not quite.
You know, Iceman.
Now, here's where I struggle with my number 5 pick. Here's the thing about it. Do I think that Ray is in better shape on the mic right now than Ghost? Yes, I do. But this is what I mean. You said what? It's an album rollout. It's Supreme Clientele 2. So this is what I have to say. If Ghost is everything that we think he is, if he's really Iron Man, if he really Tony Stark's, the Ghost that we heard, we ain't really heard from him since. And I think we're about to hear a different Ghost. And so give me Ghost at Supreme.
I pray so.
Because Ghost
so.
is just same way I just gave Freddie the nod. Well, I gotta give Ghost the nod over Ray. First of all, everybody knows me. I prefer Ray over Ghost. But Ghost's the better album maker and always has been.
Always been.
What did I say a couple shows ago? Niggas need to stop playing with the names. If this is Supreme Clientele 2, the Ghost better not be playing with us.
So I don't
like Raekwon's joint was called The Emperor's New Clothes, but now it's the Purple Album. If you calling it the Purple Album, you better not be playing with us.
Okay, so
I don't like the Purple Album title, and I don't like Supreme Clientele 2 and an album titled Purple Album from Ray coming out so soon, but I'm still giving Ghost the nod.
So my question to you guys is, has Ghostface made better albums? Let's go since Purple Tape 2. So in the past 2 decades, has Ghost made better albums than Raekwon? Because I don't think he's made better albums than Raekwon in the past 15.
Man, that's common knowledge, bro.
It's not even close.
No,
that's common knowledge, bro.
Yeah, it's right. Because Coop is saying that that Ghost is the better album maker. Yeah, up until like 2006.
I don't care when it happened. He's the better album maker.
Okay, so how about this?
But we're talking about now, though. I'm way more confident in a Raekwon album and Raekwon making it now than I am, because we're going based off of what we're hearing, right?
That's not predicated on the album making. I think that's more so on the voice and how he's able to maintain his voice.
So, LP, here's what I'll tell you. Ray has done a better job of making albums than Ghost since the Purple Tape 2, so for the last 15 years. But, and I'm saying this respectfully to both of them, that ain't too much to be writing home about, though. So that's not enough for me. Like, that ain't much to be writing home about. What I do know is that Ghost level without Ray by his side looks like Supreme Clientele and Bulletproof Wallets and Fish Scale. Like, you could take Iron Man out. But Bulletproof got like 5 Ray joints. Take Bulletproof out. Let's look at Pretty Tony, Fish Scale, and Supreme. It's like, well, go to the Ray joints where Ghost ain't on there like that and show me 3 joints like that. That's why.
And there you go.
Look, we can.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I love Pretty Tony. Like, yo, by all means, outside of the crypto scam, I fuck with Ghost heavy. He's in another personal top 10 of mine all day. My thing is that going back to Coop's logic, right? The reason why we put Nas and Preem is because we're expecting Nas and Preem, right? And then we're going it based off who's done something recently. Based off who's done something recently, it's Ray. Like, that's not really up for debate based off of Coop's logic.
That's fair. That's fair. No. If you want to apply the logic and slide it across, I do understand what you're saying, and that's very valid. Yeah. But this is what I mean. It is like, and this is what I mean, superhero shit. Well, as much as I haven't been impressed with Ghost albums, Ray's album ain't been that much better. And if you're asking me which one of them can go into the booth for an album and put their cape back on for an album, yeah, give me Ghost.
Ghost has shown that he can do it more than Ray can. More consistency. Even you can look at younger albums.
I would submit that it's not even the consistency, Sean, because LP is right. The consistency or the inconsistency the last 15 years has actually been comparable, but Ray's highs are not as high as Ghost's highs on a solo album mission.
Not at all. Not at all. Even if you go to 12 Reasons to Die albums. With
that slept on.
Yeah.
Like, how about this?
Oh, like, yeah, and that 12 Reasons to Die kind of
like, how about this?
Pokes a hole in your argument.
How about this?
Yeah, I can hear that. But then at the same time, if we go back, Ghost's last album, was he not trying then?
We don't
Yeah.
want to talk about that.
No.
Was Ghost like not trash?
There's a lot of smoke on both sides, but
Yeah.
about those 5 top albums, give me Ghost. That's what I'm saying. About those 5
Oh
top,
yeah.
give me Ghost. Because
But
you got
here's the
5
thing.
albums.
Purple Tape is
We're
number one,
arguing.
and then
How
Ghost
about
got
this?
everything else, and then
How about this? We know this for a fact. Ghost has 5 great albums.
But
yeah.
here's the thing though,
Does
Coop.
Ray have 5 great albums?
Ghost got the count. That's common knowledge. But I think we're arguing for nothing because I don't think it's no way that they both are working on albums at the same time and the other is not heavily involved with their partner's album. So I
Yeah.
think you'll get a heavy dose of Raekwon on Supreme Clientele 2 and a heavy dose of Ghostface on the Purple album. So it's pretty much, you know what I'm saying, a wash in that regard. So we're arguing for nothing because I think both albums will be top tier with their involvement on each other's respective albums.
I'm interested to hear who's doing the production for both albums.
That's what I'm holding out on.
I'm hoping it's math. I'm hoping there's a lot of math on both.
I'll be good with math doing it. I want to see some RZA over production as well.
I want to hear different shit. I want to hear like some Mad Lib or some shit.
I'm not mad at Madlib.
Give me Adrian Young.
Well, you know, RZA
Young.
wasn't
I'm cool
on
with Adrian
Supreme
Young.
Clientele like that either. How many songs did RZA produce on that? Like 2?
Which
Oh,
one?
what?
On Supreme
Nutmeg
Clientele.
and the Green.
But the
Nutmeg
key was he executive produced it. That's all the
Right,
difference in the
right.
world.
He mixed it down and engineered it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to personally
He has like, I think he got like 4 beats on there, if I'm
the
not
same
mistaken.
way that Pharrell is kind of doing his thing, and then I think that it's very much about Pharrell showing himself to to the Clipse album. I would love for RZA to tap into something for them too. That would be the ultimate for me.
Ideal, all 3 of them in the studio at the same time, and RZA say, this song is for Ray's album. This song is for Ghost's album. Because that would take us back to 95, 96 era when he was doing that anyway. That would be ideal.
And the RZA Drink Champs interview, dope as fuck. One
Top
of the best.
Fellas, we 3 hours and 40 minutes in. We got to tap out. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes. It's midnight.
Yo, man, this was good.
9 o'clock we're out, Matt. Just saying.
Shout out to the chat, man.
Sunny California.
Shout out to everybody, straight up and down. Shout out to my Queen's brethren, Belt, man. We talk a lot, joke around a lot and everything. Real good brother, man. Thank you for pulling up tonight and kicking it with the fellas. You know, shout out to the entire chat tonight. You guys been live all night. Everybody who showed love, from the super chats to your comments to engaging on the polls. We hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. We really wanted to get into a bag. It's always a passionate conversation. We're talking about the greatest MC of all time and everything that we do here. So we appreciate you all engaging with us. We appreciate you again for hopping on. We got some more work to do. But definitely shout out to all of you out there. Like, share, subscribe, and engage with us on the channel throughout the week. And we'll continue to try to put together some solid shows for you all. Yo. Anybody else got anything? Like, share, subscribe.
I mean, shit, appreciate it, y'all. Everybody in the chat, I've been a super fan, following along. Like, in the real world, I don't get to talk about none of this shit. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. So when you see me in these spaces, it's because it's the only spaces where I could talk about this shit. I mean, especially, I'm in the Bay, dog. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They already E4, you know what I mean? So it's kind of
that's
hard.
crazy,
You know what I mean?
because in West Virginia, we get to talk about that in the real world. That's crazy. You're in the Bay and don't get to talk about
man,
it.
Yo,
We out
I'm
here,
at,
man.
this ain't the hip hop conversation. Hey,
West
appreciate
Virginia.
y'all, man.
Yo,
Thank you.
double, send $5 more because that one you sent before, it didn't go through. YouTube flagged it. So send it 3 more times, and I'll let you know if one of them get through. Yo, peace, y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yo, peace. I appreciate you.
Yeah, love is love.